I'm Josh Cooperman, and this is Convo by Design. But you know that because you are kind enough to subscribe, download, and listen to the show every week. And for that, I thank you. If this episode was shared with you and you're not currently a subscriber, I'd appreciate it if you would consider giving us a subscribe to the show so you can receive these episodes automatically every week when they're published directly to your feed. So for that, thank you. For those who have been part of our little club since day one, or close to that, you've heard me say this. And for those new to the podcast, I want you to know that I'm incredibly grateful. I started this show over 11 years ago to bring a level of coverage to the design and architecture community that I felt was missing at the time. My background was in broadcast, specifically sports broadcasting, and that with Playboy. Did a ton of events, and I know how important it is to engage with the right audience. And I am now, and always have been, a huge fan of the Shelter publications in particular, and magazines in general. I still have old copies of Dwell from the mid-2000s. Copies of Metropolitan Home that I will still on occasion just grab a nice beverage and go through the pages, waxing nostalgic for a time when the Shelter pubs focused on the art form that is architecture and interior design, not the celebrity, trend spotting, and ephemeral social media content. Right? For that reason, one of the things I enjoy most is getting back to the meaningful events. I love attending and even just talking about some of America's favorite design festivals, trade shows, happenings, gatherings, and events. And since they are so different, there can't be one favorite event. And that is what I think is so special. They are all different. They can all be America's favorite events, but there are really only two major heavy hitters. I may get some arguments with that, and if I do, if you want to debate it, I love that. convobydesign@outlook.com. Send me an email. But I think that there are really, while all events are different and they're all specialty, there's really only two that are heavy hitters, behemoths in the industry, KBIS and IBS, and which is, and KBA's big throwdown, and High Point Market. This is not, again, to take away from any other gatherings. And we'll be covering most of those as well throughout the year. But these two are different due to sheer size and scope. A few weeks ago, you heard my coverage with Tammy Nagum of High Point Market. We talked about the event and what to expect this year. This episode of the podcast is dedicated to specifiers everywhere who are venturing out or who ventured out for the first time to attend KBIS and IBS, International Builders Show. We have a double episode this week plus. That means you are going to hear from two designers and a brand about the KBIS experience in 2024. Their approach to the show and strategies they used for navigation to make the biggest impact in the shortest amount of time and the fewest number of steps, right? Today, you are going to hear from Angeline Guido Hall of Angeline Guido Designs and Kevin Murphy of K.A. Murphy Interiors, and John Weinstein, CEO of FV America, with the American arm of Franz Wegner. And you're going to love it. It's amazing. We're going to get to that right after this. I am so proud of my partnership with Thermosol. They have been presenting partners of Convo by Design for 4+ years, and there is a certain amount of pride that comes with saying that the show is presented by the company that is the absolute best in the world at what they do. Thermosol engineers the most exceptional smart shower products and steam shower systems worldwide for a few reasons. They were the first company to design and patent the technology here in the U.S. dating back to 1958. Thermosol, a U.S.-based manufacturer in Round Rock, Texas, employs an engineering team that designs, tests, and continuously refines the product. Their quality control team tests every single steam generator before it departs the factory. Who else does that? Nobody. I have the pleasure of working with some world-class designers and architects who tell me, and you know this, that the idea of luxury has changed, especially when clients want a spa-like bathroom. Steam is mandatory, or it's just not considered luxury. If you want to add steam, you have really one true option if you want the best, and that's Thermosol. Mitch Altman, third generation CEO of this family-owned company of 65 years, continues to innovate the bathroom and shower space through technological marvels such as intelligent showering systems, sound therapy, aromatherapy, chromotherapy, technical interfaces, and so much more. And now, Thermosol, the industry leader in steam bath equipment and technology since 1958, is enhancing its already stellar family of products with the new indoor and outdoor luxury saunas. Available in 3 design configurations, each sauna is handcrafted from clear Western red cedar or Nordic spruce, inspired by the brilliance of Northern European sauna technology and design. Thermosol's latest collections offer luxurious features, and there's only one option if you want the finest experience: Thermosol. Check out thermosol.com and at Thermosol on the socials. I am so excited about this. Here's what I want to do. In a minute, I want you to sort of, Angeline, Holly, I want you to, Holly, you've never been on the show. Angeline, you have. I want you to reintroduce yourselves briefly, just the brief intro so we can get a feel for who you are. And by the way, check the show notes. There will be a link to the past episode with Angeline, who just amazing. Loved it. I even put one of your quotes up recently on Instagram. I love what you have to say. We are talking about KBIS. One of the things that I've started doing, like I went to KBIS this year, but I was there for literally 24 hours. I was in Vegas and then I went to LA. KBIS is like in 1 million square feet of convention space, and it's just not possible to get, do, see everything. So what I started doing is I started having creatives like you go to these. This actually started years ago. I want to say this is like 2017, 2018, maybe, when I first started doing this. I had a designer named Nancy Russert in Los Angeles, she's a designer, and she also owns Twist Custom, which is a workroom. She's amazing. She's incredible, the things she does. But she did some work on a design house, a Christopher Kennedy design house in Turlock, California, that I just was not able to make it to. Mm-hmm. And so I said, hey, Nancy, you're going to be up there because you worked on it. Do me a favor. Just go shoot video, do your thing. Take me as if you want me to see what your experience was like. Oh, cool. And she did. And it was like her and her project manager, they were at LAX, and then they were flying, and then they were in the car, and then they were at the house, and then she's interviewing designers. That episode, I will try to find it. It was a long time ago. I'll try to add a link to that episode as well, because it was so much fun. So I wanted your experience. I wanted to see if we could share what you get, and I want your take on this. Sorry, I'm like asking you a dozen things at once. Do me a favor before I get into it. Introduce yourselves, okay, and then tell me just sort of briefly, like, what your overall feeling about KBIS is, because it's so big, because it's in Vegas, because.
Yeah. So, thank you for the intro. My name is Angeline Guido Hall with Angeline Guido Design, and we specialize in high-end residential, a little bit of hospitality. Would like to do more. She's a big hospitality girl over here. So we've been in business for 10 years, and Holly is one of my senior designers on staff, and she's been with me for almost 4, I guess. Yep. So she went to KBIS with me, and so that's who we are. Do you want to say anything, Holly?
Yes, I'm Holly Esmundo. I'm one of Angeline's senior designers. Had a great time at KBIS.
Yes. it was really fun. I mean, who wouldn't have fun in Vegas I guess we were there for 3 days.
Yeah.
Which to me is kind of like enough in Vegas. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really need much more than that. I could have maybe done one more night,
Yeah.
but at this age, I'm getting too old to have more
Yeah.
nights than that in Vegas. So, in general, KBIS was awesome. Yes, as Josh said, super overwhelming, like so much. You walk in and you're just like paralyzed because you like don't know where to look first, you don't know where to go. They did have a lot of like kind of plumbing people close to each other and appliance people close to each other, kind of. So
Yeah.
made it a little bit easier. And they have like the big signs, you know, up above. You're like, oh, that's where monogram is. Okay, we got to make our way back over that way. But at some point you're in the middle and you're like, I don't know where the door is. So we have to, you know, ask. But there was so much to see. And I feel like we kind of had a little bit of an advantage because we went with my good friend Amy with Amy Joyce Designs. Amy Lawrence is her name, and one of her designers, Kaylee. And they went last year and they went with a Ferguson group. So she really kind of had the lay of the land. And through that, she also had a great relationship built with someone on staff named Ryan from Ferguson, who was truly awesome and amazing. And he is the person who is in charge of finding out or figuring out which appliances they want to bring onto the showroom floors. And I think he kind of like oversees the showroom designs and that sort of thing. So he was there actually to interview some new, look at some new appliance lines and also visit some of the existing lines that they carry. And so she reached out and she was like, hey, you know, what do you have going on? And he's like, well, do y'all want to shadow me for the day? And so we got to shadow him, which was so freaking cool.
Yes, it really was.
It was like a fast track through each of the appliance booths, and we got to meet with, you know, whoever the kind of top person was there. And they got to give us a tour and show us all the new technology and kind of hit like the highlights. So we weren't just aimlessly wandering around. So I feel like we were a little spoiled in our
I thought the same thing when we got back.
So like, because I was talking to another designer who's been before, and I had lunch with her the other day, and she was like, I mean, it was good, but I kind of like feel like I don't know that I got a lot out of it. And I thought from that perspective, it's like I think that would be kind of hard if you only been once and you kind of didn't have someone leading you through the highlights of the show. So what I would suggest to somebody who wants to go and has never been, read some blogs, like listen to this podcast because we'll tell you the tea. And also just reach out to people that you know have been before and ask, you know, what should I do? Where should I go? What was a day like there that you would suggest I kind of stick to this schedule or whatever it might be? Because otherwise it could be like very overwhelming.
Yeah, I think if we hadn't been there with Amy, it would have been a little overwhelming, but because there's so much to learn. Like as someone who's a little earlier on in my design career, I didn't know as much about appliances. So I did feel spoiled because we got to learn so much from Ryan and all his connections at these different brands.
And I love appliances. I always think like if the design thing didn't work out for me, like I could go sell appliances. Like, don't you think? When we go to
especially for Monogram.
But now the reps that we work with a lot when we go to like take our clients to the showroom, they're kind of like, okay, Angeline, do your spill. Like, we don't have to sell. Angeline's here to sell the appliances. You know, like I love appliances. So that part was great. And I would say in general, I think we learned so much. It was a great experience. Being in Vegas was so fun. We got to go on some fun vendor dinners, and our friend Amy that we were with and Kaylee, they're like planners. And so they were like made reservations at like dinners. And so if you're not a planner, like go with some friends who are planners so they can like handle those things.
So they just shuffle you around everywhere.
And we're like, oh, this is amazing. So thank you, Amy and Kaylee, for such an awesome experience at KBIS. But anyway, that kind of like recaps our experience and how wonderful it was. So,
okay. So let me reset the table here.
Okay.
What is more important to you from an event like KBIS? Is it seeing what's out there? Is it learning about what's new? Is it networking? Is it meeting new contacts? Is it being able to touch and feel product all in one place? Or is it the experience, if you had to, and I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but if you had to sort of force rank what's important to you, what is, most to least?
Yeah. I'd like to hear your perspective too, because yours might be a little bit different than mine. I would say, like, obviously everything that you mentioned is very important. I think that I've never been to KBIS before. So for this year for me, it was my first experience. I was most excited just about the experience, to learn about what there was there, what we would be seeing, and then kind of developed an opinion from there about, like, now having been, these are the things that I feel like when I go back, I want to make sure that I kind of hit the high notes. So the experience was probably the first most important thing for me, again, because I'd never been before. The second most important thing, I think it was, again, as an interior designer, we take clients to showrooms and we are able to see product on their showroom floors, but they don't have like everything.
Yeah.
Like they'll have a vignette for Sub-Zero that has, which Sub-Zero wasn't there, but so for instance, like Monogram and Miele, they were amazing. It was like so great to walk through those booths and really see everything that they had. Like, I wouldn't say 100%, but like a lot of what they have is there. And then to hear actually from the people who work for the companies, because again, when you go to these showroom visits, I think some of the reps, the sales reps who sell like across the board multi-line, they kind of have their favorite brands. And so they give you a little bit more information about those brands versus actually hearing from someone who works for the company, like going into great detail about the technology of these amazing appliances. I feel like that was like super important and incredible. So if you're going for the first time, I would go try to, if there's a rep that's busy, be like, hey, can we make an appointment with you? Like, you really want someone who works there in the booth to walk you through. So like reach out to your local appliance people, whoever you work with, and say like, hey, do you have a contact for Miele or Monogram that I can make an appointment with at market to like really walk me through? Because I feel like that was so incredible. And then what were you say would your kind of
I would say that my top two were I was really excited to try to find some new vendors for things. We found a great vendor for like brass shelving and metal details. We found a really cool vendor for these that I'm obsessed with, these burners that like sit flush in the countertop and you don't see like.
Was it Pitt?
Pitt, yes.
It was Pitt. So cool. So
yeah,
I think,
and we got to see them in action. Like they were actually cooking on them, which is a different experience that you would find just in a showroom.
Yeah, I anytime we go to a trade show, I really get excited about finding new vendors because I think it's easy as a designer when you're sitting at your desk plugging away to just go where you're comfortable and familiar with. And especially at our office, we really value giving everybody a very unique design. So it's fun to get to see new things. And I was also really looking forward to, like Angeline said, seeing physical, like a faucet in all the different finishes that they offer versus like going to a Ferguson. It's like, okay, here's a faucet, but it's in the finish that this other faucet's in. So those were definitely my top two. Trying to find some new vendors and seeing, all the more of the products that we use.
And like the displays are gorgeous. It is. How long did they say they have to put those up? Like 2 weeks or something like that?
I think it might have been a week.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like the fact, and so just appreciating everything that goes into putting on a production like that. I mean, you would walk in and it would be like a completely amazing, like gorgeous finished kitchen. And you're like, they literally put this together in a week. So the amount of background that they had to do to like get that ready and like probably had to fabricate things off site that then had to be assembled there. Like how do you have all those vendors setting up at the same time, all bringing things in that it's just mind blowing. Yeah. So like seeing that come to fruition and thinking like, oh my God, how did they put this together and then they're just out of there and there's a new trade show coming in the next week. Like it's crazy. So
yeah, it's bananas, isn't it? Here's what's interesting too. And one of the things I want to do is I want to get to, I tasked you with don't just go and enjoy. I want to see it. I want you to take video, take images. Now, we probably won't get to everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the comms over to you and Holly, and I'm going to let you guys sort of drive the boat here. And I want to preface it by saying this. So like, this was your first time. So you don't really have a frame of reference to compare it to. So for me, because I go every year, even if like this year was just for 24 hours, I was in Vegas and then I was out. Last year to me was the most extraordinary event because closed down for 3 years due to COVID. And then you had everybody doing R&D and all this new stuff and all these new ideas and new product. And it was all released last year. It was like, oh my gosh, it was impossible to try to comprehend. I feel like this year's show maybe was a little bit more doable. It was a little bit more easier to navigate because you could prioritize. So with that, and I love this. You got yourselves at the airport. You got yourself at the hotel, at the bars. There's one video I definitely want you to show. It's the monogram craft ice maker, the heated craft ice maker, which I just love that thing.
Oh my God.
It is so cool. And I want to show that. But also, I want to preface this by saying, because this is a podcast, totally get it. Maybe we can turn the volume on these down so that you can show the video and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
And then I will also take the video from Zoom, from what we're doing here, and I will post it to our YouTube or Facebook. I'll post it so that folks who want to listen and watch, you can do both.
Awesome.
Great.
That's great.
All right, Holly, the comm is yours.
Okay.
So I made like a little list of some things that I kind of wanted to go over. So that as it relates to some of these videos. So we did stay at the Park MGM, which was great. It was also one of the more affordable options of hotels because they really jacked the price that week. It was quiet. It was kind of at I wouldn't say the end of the strip, but like down kind of toward.
It was a little bit more like boutique hotel experience versus like very casino heavy experience.
Yes. And the room was huge. It was amazing. It was gorgeous. They have an eataly there in the hotel. So like that was super fun. And we were able to get breakfast there every morning. And it was, if we wanted to like run down and grab something real quick, it wasn't this like big production, and they had a cute little lobby bar. So, I'll start by showing, a little bit of that. Like this was the really cute, why is it?
You can have to double click.
See, I'm in a different country on a Mac. I don't understand. Okay. So this was a really cute little vignette in our lobby bar restaurant. It was just such an adorable concept. The food was really good. Can
I stop you right there for a second? Yeah. So go back to that image for a second, if you wouldn't mind. So Holly, I think Angeline introduced you as kind of the hospitality. I don't know if she said diva, queen, expert. I don't remember, but I'm sure it's all tied into one. Yeah.
Enthusiast.
Isn't it amazing that? And this is one of the things that Las Vegas does so well when it comes to hospitality. Is it's everything from super glam, super glitz to homey and relaxed. As someone who lives in the world of hospitality, when you see a vignette like this, what do you think? Do you enjoy it as a visitor might, or do you completely break it down like a designer would?
Well, I mean, it depends, right? I used to do restaurant design, and one of my best friends from college, she does restaurant design. So there's some places we go in and we're picking everything apart. Oh, they cheaped out on acoustical material on this one, that kind of thing. But one thing I loved about this restaurant and one thing I love about this vignette is I always feel that the coolest restaurants have a little bit of a residential touch, especially in the lounge or like this gallery wall and the plant. And
the furniture doesn't look like
restaurant
furniture. Or commercial furniture. It looks like it would be in a little parlor at a house.
It's very inviting. So that was one thing I loved. I mean, I was going around taking all kinds of photos of this restaurant.
Yes.
Because it was very fun. A lot of like soft seating. You can't see here, but like the bar had the coolest brass bar gantry. So
Yes. Well, and also like to speak that other restaurant, you remember Javier's? I saw a
Yes.
video of
Yes.
that in here. I don't know if you like this was like we were walking this on this. Sorry, you guys. Like look at just the details of everything that is in this
Yeah.
restaurant. Really just walking around Vegas as a designer, it's seeing all these details and like
yeah.
just
Yeah. And it's fun too because, you know, the budget for restaurants in Vegas is obviously pretty high. So there's just so much creativity and every detail is very thought through and special.
Well, that's what's so interesting too, is when KBIS is in Las Vegas, you almost have this show within a show, because Vegas itself is this experience, and you're seeing so much. It's almost like this sensory overload. When KBIS has gone to Orlando, I don't particularly like it as much because you don't get you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it was my first time in Vegas ever, so it was I was just kind of mind blown by everything in general.
yeah, all the hotels.
Yeah.
And our hotel was not connected to the Cosmopolitan, but they had like a little area that you walked through, and then you walk inside and it connects to the Cosmopolitan. So this is one of the bars of the Cosmopolitan, and like look at just the detail of like you walk in and you're like mesmerized just by how incredible it is. And so one night after a few drinks, Holly and I went to this bar. Did not get any videos of that.
Yeah.
but
Probably good.
Yeah, probably good.
Yeah.
Probably could have been incriminating. But anyway, so that was just awesome. So seeing all of that, yes, and my background originally is on hospitality in hotels and kind of the restaurants within that. So I have a really big appreciation for everything that goes into customizing a hotel design.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned that. And I'll tell you a quick story while you're teeing up what's next. Is I was invited as a journalist. I was invited to the opening of the Cosmopolitan. It was in 2010, and they opened it for New Year's Eve, and they brought us in, and it was the most incredible experience because I'd never stayed in a hotel that was designed that way before. I mean, it also didn't hurt that I saw Florence and the Machine there twice. New Year's Eve, there was a concert. New Year's Eve, the concert, it was open bar, like 5,000 people, if that. It was Jay-Z, Kanye, Coldplay, Jason Mraz, Beyonce.
Dream.
What year?
It was 2010.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, that's when they opened, and it was incredible. But I bring that up too, not to flex on the concert. By the way, that was amazing. But that particular hotel, which opened 14 years ago now, the design of that particular hotel was groundbreaking and extraordinary. And now 14 years later, it's not that it's commonplace, but it has been emulated elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's the thing with something like Las Vegas, is this leveling up, this constant leveling up has also made it so that the show had to level up so that you see what you see outside as well as inside. And I think did that add to the context of the experience?
Absolutely. Yes. And that really was like a large part, I feel like, of the experience is you're just enveloped in this design and architecture, no matter where you go, whether you're at the trade show itself or you're walking through the hotels. Like I have way more pictures even than this of just architectural elements and design. And like, we were all just oohing and awing over stuff the whole time. So the fact that it's located in Vegas, like really speaks to the love of design.
Yeah. And I don't know, it was nice to get obviously design inspiration from the trade show, but then also like getting to see so many cool, very over the top things that being in Dallas, we don't really have a ton of that. So gathering inspo from all fronts.
Yes. And it was Amy's birthday while we were there. So we went out for Amy's birthday. For her birthday dinner, we went to Beauty in Essex, which was so good.
So good.
It was a really cool restaurant in the Cosmopolitan. So we actually like went to the Cosmopolitan quite a bit for stuff because it was right next to us and there was more going on than at our hotel, but it was nice and convenient. I was talking to somebody there at the trade show and I was like, it's nice. Our hotel is like nice and quiet. And they're like, you're getting older when you go to Vegas. And you're like, our hotel is great. It's nice and quiet. It's not loud.
Yeah.
How did you select the hotel where you stayed?
Well, we were looking and there were hotels that were closer to the conference center, but I don't know. I mean, there was a good mix of options that were around the same price point as what we picked, but we just kind of felt like this is a new hotel. There's an eataly there, which will be easier for us to like, if we just need to run in and grab a quick bite. In Vegas, it's like, it's better to just jump in a cab anyway, because the hotels are so huge that even if you are staying close to the conference center, you're probably not going to walk. So you're probably going to be in a cab or an Uber anyway. They do have the Tesla loop. So I would check out if you are going. I don't know if you know, Josh, about the Tesla loop, but for those of you who don't, there is a literal loop that goes under the ground from the conference center to like a couple of different hotels. Yeah. It's an underground road and it's only Teslas that are on. And there's like
circle through
50 of them at a time. Just drive, like the drivers all day long just drive people. They pick them up there in front of the conference center and then they take them where they need to go. So we never ended up doing that because we were staying down at the other end. But if you are staying at one of those hotels that it goes to, that could be a convenient option.
Yeah. And I know, like you mentioned, it was like one of the more affordable options, but also the design of the rooms was really cute.
Yeah.
And
there were other affordable options that we were like,
it's kind of ugly. But also I know we picked that hotel too because there was like a nice, in our suite, there was a nice banquette with a table. So
if we wanted to do
some work.
Or if we ordered entirely too much Thai food at 3 a.m, we also could sit and eat.
Yes.
just hypothetically, if that were to have happened.
Yes.
Which getting Uber Eats in Vegas was an experience.
Yeah.
But,
I bet.
Yeah. She was gone for like 45 minutes. So I'm like, are you good? Where's our Korean food?
Korean, that's what it was.
Well, so let's talk about that for a minute, because I think that is so important. The planning. I mean, Vegas used to be convenient, and I don't think that you can call it convenient anymore. It's just not. It's crowded. It's insane. There are times with that flex pricing where, if you're trying to get an Uber or a Lyft from the airport to the strip, it can cost $50-$75.
Yeah.
It can be brutal, and you just can't get a cab. It's just it's unmanageable. When you do the research, how much goes into versus other shows? I don't know if you've been to High Point. I don't know if what other shows you've been to. How did you plan for KBIS differently, or what goes into the planning process for you?
Well, we really relied heavily on Amy and Kaylee because they had been before. And so they were really helpful in kind of making reservations and saying, okay, yeah, this would be an okay location to stay at, because regardless, we're going to have to drive in a cab or whatever. And then when it came to planning for other things, it's really just like making reservations and making sure that you're close by to stuff if you need to grab something. Like there was a CVS that like wasn't far from our hotel, and we had the eataly like there, like I said, that has a market full of all kinds of stuff. So just making sure that you're kind of, because Vegas is so expensive. Everything is so expensive there. So just again, if you want some bottled waters, that you can run over to a CVS versus going downstairs for the
$10 bottle of water.
Yes. So, but the Ubers, I wouldn't say that they were like exorbitantly expensive.
Not once we got like down to the strip.
Yeah.
But there's also, so when you register for KBIS, they do send out some emails with some like kind of tips and tricks, like guides. I know that AD also published like a guide for, kind of like the great things to hit when you're in KBIS. So looking at stuff like that would probably be really helpful.
Yes.
Angeline and I are not
Greatest
the
planners.
greatest planners. So it was
Yeah.
nice to have Amy,
Yes.
but another thing too, like from our hotel, it was really easy to get taxis to go places.
Yeah.
Easier than Ubers, really, because there's like basically like the doorman person.
Yeah.
And the cabs just kind of come to the hotels.
So it wasn't that bad. It was much harder to get transportation from the conference center because the lines were so long of people waiting that we actually walked all the way down to the very end to a different conference center where it wasn't as heavily populated. But we did have to wait a little while for the Uber to get there. So just prepare for your timing of exit, that you're going to have some extra time. And how that differs, in my opinion, from going to like High Point. We rented a car in High Point. I think that it was a lot easier doing that because High Point is very kind of spread out. And it's not like it's not as easy to get an Uber or, which probably during High Point market time it is, but I don't know. It was nice having a car, and then we would just park in a nearby parking garage and just know that you're going to have to do some walking. And we also stay in Airbnbs when we go to High Point. It's just a little bit easier, especially if you're taking a group of people. But you have to plan way ahead for those.
Yeah.
And
they book up quick.
And I would say if you're going to go to KBIS, try to book your hotel earlier on, because again, this was one of the more affordable options we stayed at. And I think we still spent like $500 or $600 a night or something like that.
Yeah.
There were options for like 200, but they were like not anywhere that we want to stay.
Yeah.
but it was crazy. Like hotels that are normally $700 a night were like $1,500 a night during KBIS. So and we were kind of late to the party in booking.
Well, you bring up a great point. And by the way, I want to get to some more of this video that you have, but you bring up a great point, which I wanted to share with you because I don't even think you realize it. So part of the reason for the change in pricing isn't just, what you have to take into consideration. And I'm curious if you kind of thought about this. It's not just KBIS going on in Vegas at the same time. It's KBIS. You've got U2 playing at the Big Orb. That also happened to be NASCAR weekend. So you had the NASCAR races coming into Las Vegas that weekend as well. You also had, I think, 4 other trade shows simultaneously. Do you, when you start planning, do you look at a competitive landscape to see what else is there, and how far out do you start to make your plans?
Well, we kind of decided late in the game that we were going this year, but typically I would say like for other trade shows and things like that in the past, like when we go to Round Top, we have to book like way in advance for Round Top because the Airbnbs are very few and far between. And that's really the best option for Round Top as an Airbnb. So I would say we book at least 4 to 6 months in advance for Round Top. Like if we know we're going, and then if we have to cancel, then we have to cancel. Like we actually ended up not going this time. And so I lost some money on the Airbnb, but at least we know we had it. For High Point, we lucked out. We were kind of late to the game because I'm going to be on 2 panels there. And I wasn't really planning on going this year, but we're going. So we're bringing some people. And so we were kind of late to the game on that, getting an Airbnb. We lucked out. But I would say generally something like that, you need to book at least like 3 to 4 months in advance, if not more. The ticket prices like go up as well for airline, air travel as well as you get closer. So let's say, to do your due diligence and really plan to at least plan like 3 to 4 months in advance if you can, if you're going to want to go.
I was going to say I'm hoping we're going to go in again next year, but if we do, I would definitely want to start planning maybe like 4 or 5 months. So that way we can book our accommodations. And like you said earlier, kind of start putting feelers out to some reps and showrooms so that we can kind of, like she said, it was really nice having a connection with some people at the booth. So I think it would be good to start or even earlier for KBIS than some of those other ones.
Sure. And I would kind of go back to one of your very earlier questions where you were asking of, kind of the highlights and what you would rank most important down. I said the next important thing would be the connections and networking. So like we got cards from all the different reps that we met with. So I plan to reach out to them again next year to say like, hey, we're coming again. We'd love to meet with you. And also like all these appliance companies do these incredible like designer travel events where they'll take a group to Napa, or like Monogram has an awesome program in Chicago where they bring designers and even builders and architects, I believe, as well, if they're specifying appliances. They bring them into Chicago for like a day or two. And I did that probably about 5 years ago, and it was awesome. And you get to like learn about all their appliances and cook on them and all this stuff. And that's when I fell in love with Monogram. So that's another, yes, I would say kind of up on the list of great things about going is networking and making those connections. So because a lot of them, again, have these great designer programs and rebates and things too. So learning about stuff is good.
And by the way, while you're talking, or while I'm talking, pull up that Monogram video, because I want to make sure to point this out too. And this is, in full disclosure, Monogram and Pacific Sales are partner sponsors of Convo by Design. I love them as partners of mine. I love working with them. And Monogram really, and this is not a commercial message. This is just kind of like my findings when it comes to appliances. It's extraordinary what they're doing and what they've done. And I love that you love them. And I'm curious as to why.
I am a huge Monogram fan for many reasons. I personally have them in my house. I think the technology is so smart. So they are just such, again, a technology driven company, but not only that, they're always ahead of the game with design. I feel like too. Like,
yes.
Like all their, not even just their vignettes that they build, but in terms of their appliances, they're always thinking like, what would a designer's touch be that we can add to this appliance? Like, for instance, you
can have like custom panels made.
No, you would have to have your own cabinet.
Yes,
but they're showing like, look at this incredible built-in refrigerator situation, which you could do with other brands, but they go above and beyond to really showcase that. And you can get those brass doors from them on the refrigerator and the brass vent hood.
And that's something you can do through them. Right.
Yes. But like the pizza oven with that beautiful little brass detail.
Yes.
If you go to, let's see, there's one, if you keep going down, where they have introduced a leather handle pull on their ovens.
Was it,
maybe it was up a little higher. It's the yellow kitchen. Keep going. Maybe I showed it here.
Oh yeah, on that range, that was a leather pull.
And it has brass, and they'll get the brass bezels on the range.
Hey, turn the volume down on the video just so I can. Yeah, okay, so that's leather and brass. That is gorgeous.
Yes. Yeah, it's gorgeous, and I think you also can get them for refrigeration too. So it's interesting.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think what's really interesting too is when you talk about going to KBIS and going to the Monogram display booth, to be able to touch and feel that particular pole and handle, so that you can feel the quality of the leather, so that you can feel the weight of the door, that's got to be that. As you were talking, I started thinking about that. I think Monogram has a French door, like a one-hand closing French door oven, which is remarkable. And to be able to go and to feel it operate in person has to be, that experience has to be part of what means so much to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they have their other lines too. They have cafe and profile. And so when we went to the cafe area, it was great to like meet with the vendors. They have the cutest little dishwasher drawers, and cafe does their colored appliances, and you can pick from the different handles. They also have so many cute countertop appliances. So they have was it an air fryer? I feel like they had an air fryer. They have the cute coffee maker. So really, if you're into having all those match and you want them out, this was super cool. This is an electric smoker. I think it was like $8.99 or something. There was a guy there, like a guy who's a pit master, does a lot of barbecuing. was there like actually demonstrating how he cooks in it, and it was so good. Like it's the first like mini electric smoker that they use little pellet stoves with. So they're just always thinking above and beyond with the technology. They also introduced a 2-in-1 washer dryer, which there are others on the market like this that are not as equipped as this one. So this will wash and dry a lot faster than the other ones on the market, because I have heard from some people that have other brands that it takes like 4 hours to dry sometimes, but this is like a supercharged machine. Another great thing about it is it does not require a drain line. Is that what he said?
I think so.
Yes. Or a vent. It does not require a vent.
Yeah.
It does
I was going to say it has to have a drain.
Yes. And I was like, I don't know how that would be the case, but no.
But no vent. So who's the manufacturer of this?
This is Profile. GE.
Okay.
So, and the dispenser holds up to like 20 loads in the detergent dispenser.
Wow.
Yes. So you can like fill it up and you're ready to rock for 20 loads, which is really awesome. It has a bunch of different settings. So if you need to do like just a quick dry and then you want to pull things out later, you can set it that way. It also just only requires a regular 120 volt or 110. Which one is that? Whatever just a regular plug is. It doesn't require one of those 240s. So you could just stick it in a bathroom or a closet as long as you can tie into a drain line. So it's really an awesome piece of equipment.
Yeah, the guy so GE owns Profile, Monogram, and Cafe. And the guy who was showing us around was extremely excited to show us this.
Yes.
He's like, you got to be pushing this because it's great for master closets and all kinds of other things.
Well, and we have a lot of clients who want a double stackable washer dryer in their laundry rooms. Well, this eliminates 2 appliances. So you don't have to have 4 units. You can just have 2 units if you want to have 2 washers and 2 dryers. You could just have 2 of these, which is great. So that was great to see. This cafe display by, what is her name? Hold on. She was, let's see.
It was very fun.
Isabel Ladd. She did, or Lade, however you say her last name, Ladd. I think it was so fun.
Wow.
Over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Cafe, hit us up. Would like to do a display next year for you.
It was so fun though, because I mean, definitely Monogram and Cafe, their besides maybe Kohler design was like so fun and over the top. And it was fun seeing this because it really highlights all the different colored appliances that they carry.
Yes. So I kind of made, sorry, go ahead, Josh. Were you going to say something?
No, sorry. I was doing something that I never do. And that's just like commenting, like oohing and eyeing over. I should just mute myself. I love this, by the way. I absolutely love this.
Okay, good. Well, I made a little kind of list of our favorite displays. So for appliances, our favorite displays, I mean, really the 3 big ones were amazing. Monogram, True, and Miele. So True Refrigeration, we've talked about Monogram and like how gorgeous their vignettes are designed and how over the top they are. And it's just pure luxury when you walk in. You're like, oh my God, take all my money. And then for Miele, it was great because they literally had all these rooms that were set up as like different kitchen vignettes, or a laundry room that had all their like laundry room stuff in it. This was really cool. I don't know if you can see the humidifying mist that's coming in that drawer, but in that produce drawer, they have I guess it like measures the humidity levels and it will mist the product in there.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome? So that's Miele. So they have like really stepped it up in the appliance game. I feel like they've always been great. And for a more like modern client, I think that their appliances are just so beautiful and clean and sleek. They also have that new that wine fridge that was so cool that had the
that's the True
serving area. I think if you go down, let's see.
And while you're looking for that, I just, that is one of the things that I think is so remarkable, is being able to go out and touch and feel and see everything in one place. Now, it's 1 million square feet of one place. So, I mean, it's a lot of space. It's a lot of walking. It's a lot of taking things in. But and when you're ready to go and play it. But I'm just curious, how did you navigate? What was your experience like in navigation and the numbering system and trying to find the booth spaces that you were looking for when you were looking for them?
There was a good healthy mix of being on a schedule with Ryan and going to these different appliance booths, and also some like free roam wandering too. So, we did a day of mostly appliances, and that was the second day that we were there. And then we had a day, the first day, where we kind of just wandered around and got the lay of the land and saw some different vendors. And I think we mostly stuck to plumbing that day.
Yeah.
So we saw a lot of different plumbing vignettes.
Because all of those it's kind of grouped up, like kind of all the plumbing brands are all together. All of the appliance brands are kind of in the same area.
Yeah.
So that made the wandering a little bit easier because we knew, okay, we're only gonna be looking for plumbing in this section.
And then the first day we were like, okay, we made it through, this quadrant here. The second day we'll do our appliances. And then after that, because our second day was like our full day there. First day was mostly full, but it was travel day. And then the third day was also a travel day. We didn't even go back in on the third day because we felt like we saw everything we needed to see. And so the second day after we did the appliances, we did a little bit of wandering as well. And we kind of wandered into IBS. Which, can they not come up with a better, like, could they not?
I know the acronym is not great.
Could they not said like International Show of Builders or like ISB or something like that? So
yeah, because if you tell somebody, "Oh, I've got IBS that week," it's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's like, what?
but that was like a whole other kind of different set of vendors. So there was a lot of I'd say like finish out people over there. Like there was tile vendors.
Yeah.
It gets contractory in a hurry.
Yes. But there was on that side, there was this cool display of these recessed wine rooms. So this is kind of like, this would be the top that's flush with your flooring.
And it has a glass top.
Yeah.
So,
and they had like a lot of cool wine rack displays there.
That one's called Genuine.
Yes.
Genuine. But it was really neat because they do those underground ones. So you just give them the specs, you build out the hole, and then they come in and input it. And it's beautifully finished out with whatever finish you pick. Like the one on the floor there was walnut, and it was just like exquisite. And I think she said they start like around 150 or 1,000.
And I'm curious too, what your experience was with that, because when you cross that great divide between KBIS, between the designer side and the International Builder Show side, you get this, you get into minutia too, between you're going to show it while we talk, the acoustical materials and the receptacles. Yeah.
Yeah, it did feel kind of, we were at that point, we had
designed to the black curtains. You go.
Yes, we had finished our kind of appointments with Ryan, and we were just kind of meandering around, and all of a sudden it was like, wait, where are we?
Yeah.
It feels like you're in a whole different place.
It's looking very trade show over here. Like there was nothing glamorous per se about that side of it, but so if you are a builder, there was like Builder Trend was there, which is the builder software that they use, and like, different construction material type things that were there. So that was, we kind of breezed past some of that, but they did have like tile and fireplaces.
And we did see a demonstration of this guy installing a pocket door, which was kind of cool. I really love the construction side of things. So I was like, "Ooh, can we wait and watch the guy install the pocket door?"
You just wanted to hang out where all the contractors were,
and they had free beer, but
they were giving out beer over there. So
it's funny, isn't it too? You go from Cosmopolitans on the designer side to beer on the builder side. And you know what? I know which side I prefer, actually.
And like Jen Air had a beautiful setup too.
Yes,
Like
they did.
they have really come along with the aesthetics of their appliances. Like their refrigerators, you open them up and they're all black on the inside. It's super sleek and modern. And they had a really beautiful setup as well. And they were passing out some Prosecco. So we hung out there for a while
Yeah.
and looked around. It was really pretty. They have a great product as well. We don't spec them as much. Not for any specific reason. I think we just kind of always are specing Monogram or
Thermador, Sub-Zero.
True or Sub-Zero. Speaking of True, that was another really incredible setup there. I mean, their appliances in general are just gorgeous.
Oh, I think you passed it.
I thought there was another one up here. Nope, you're right. Okay. And
while you're looking for Jen Air, talk to me about the networking, because I see a lot of smiley, happy faces after you talk this clip through. Talk to me about the people you see and the people you run into. And by the way, is it not amazing that as big as this event is, you wind up running into people you know and haven't seen in the longest? It's the coolest thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and it's because everybody has a name tag like hanging on, like you have a lanyard or whatever with like your name and like the city where you're from. And so even if you don't know someone, like people are looking at it, oh, we're from Dallas, like, you know, oh, I'm a builder or whatever it might be. And, you know, randomly, so Amy lives in the area of town where I live, which is the Rockwall Heath area, which is a small town outside about 25, 30 miles outside of Dallas. And so she had her tag on it. It said Rockwall. Mine said Dallas because that's where my office is. And so this guy was walking past us who lives in Arizona now. And he was like, oh, you're from Rockwall? He's like, I lived there for 20 something years. And we like ended up knowing like all the same people. And it was just like,
such a small world.
Yeah, so random, but he was a builder, so we saw him in the Jen Air area. But yes, that is a very fun and interesting thing, and all the reps are like so nice, and everybody's scanning your badge when you go in, so they'll like, oh, we'll send you our packet of materials that we have in email or something like that. So
everybody's just like you mentioned, the smiling faces, everyone's just so stoked, I think, to be there, that it was such a great experience. Everybody was wanting to chat and, you know, hear about, you know, our firm and what we do. So it was pretty cool.
And it was like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say you are like rubbing shoulders, like at some point with people, but then it's really just in like where two booths kind of meet in this courtyard area that everybody's like coming out and it's really crowded. And as you're going through some of the booths, it is kind of crowded. But after you get out of that, it's not like unmanageable.
Totally.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of people there, but the convention center is ridiculously huge.
Yeah.
So, and they had like a lunch area that you could go in and grab a bite to eat. And there was plenty of places to sit.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't bad. So this is the True refrigeration, part of their vignette. So all of their appliances, you can custom color to any Sherwin-Williams color. But they also have a bunch of different colors in their line. So we got to see a bunch of their product. They have these beautiful wine columns, and this color is just beautiful. So in this vignette, they had paint matched all the cabinetry to the refrigeration, which is something.
It's powder coated?
I assume
it's so we're actually about to specify a custom color for a True refrigeration unit in a project we're working on. So just yesterday, I was looking into this, and it is powder coated, but it's like automotive grade powder coating. So you don't have to worry about anything chipping or really worry about maintenance at all with that kind of stuff.
And they have a bunch of different hardware options as well. So this is really cool. This is one of their beverage units. And so it has shelves on the top, and then it has this wine basket at the bottom. Like, how cool.
Wow. All right.
I know. And then they have the wine shelves too. So again, you can get it in any of their colors.
And it's cool too, because there's all these different configurations. So it's really like for the client, you know, we have more wine. Oh, well, then you can get a couple more wine baskets.
Yes.
You know, we have more beer, so we don't need as much of that kind of stuff.
Yes. Speaking of wine, I want to find that Mila wine column that I was talking about.
And as you look for that, my last question as we wrap this up is going to be, so I'll tell you what, I'll hold that. Show this, because I think this is really interesting.
So let me go back. Ooh, a little bit here. Okay, well, it's not gonna let me go.
It'll restart.
Start it over. Okay, so you see this open space here in the middle. This is their serving area. So that is actually a tray that pulls out. On the left-hand side is
Oh, that's a good idea.
yes, a rack where you can hang wine glasses. And then on the right-hand side is like a row where you can put the bottles that you're currently drinking. So it's this little serving area, and all of their pull-out shelves have this chalkboard edge on them. So you can write like, New Zealand whites and Italian reds or something like that. And that could be what's on that shelf. So,
oh, that's a good idea. That's interesting.
And these are touch. So like if you touch it, it'll open. And then if you just push it shut, it will get to a certain point and then it slow closes, which some of the appliance companies are doing now, which is great. Also, Mila had an entire room at their booth dedicated to all their different dishwashers. I have never seen so many options. They have so many amazing options that have so many different capabilities. They also have a commercial grade residential dishwasher. So it has like this like super power setting and a quick wash and all that. I mean, it was great to learn about all that and hear about all those, because I feel like the dishwasher is kind of like the unglamorized appliance that just kind of gets thrown in with the package of whatever appliance you're buying. And so to really hear about everything that they do, I'm like, I'm gonna start specifying some of their dishwashers. Like, it was really
they were
awesome.
really cool. And there was a big range of like what they called their more affordable options, but they still had all of the great function and features. And then to the, like you said, the commercial residential one.
Yeah. And they had a little reservoir where you could, I think, get like 20 washes or something.
It was like a little disc that you buy and you put it in. I'm pretty sure you can like start it from an app on your phone and stuff.
Yes. It was really neat.
It was wild.
Let me see my list if there was any interesting. Appliance. Okay, so the outdoor appliances. We got to learn about a company that Ryan was considering called Twin Eagles, I think it was called. Outdoor area.
Or Double Eagle,
something like that. I think it's Twin Eagle. This piece of equipment was insane. There was so much to do on this grill, so many different options. It was made out of titanium, I think, versus the stainless, like all this other stuff. And it had this really pretty like chamfered edge on the hood, which you probably can't see in there. But it was great to learn about them. And also another wild card that I'd heard about Haston, I think, but I had never really seen a lot of their product before. I think they're shown on a few showroom floors around the Dallas area, but I was not familiar with them. And that was you can kind of, they have all these different options of ways to put together an outdoor kitchen from these modules that they offer. And you can pick from their 12 colors. So they had all these really fun colors to pick from. And so you can have a fully stainless outdoor kitchen. And it really wasn't like crazy. That thing was expensive.
Yes.
That was different. That was a different.
Grillworks, that's insane.
They collabed with Grillworks. So all of this is Heston, all the orange and everything. And then they made that fitting for the Grillworks.
Yes.
But it was I've never seen
really cool
that before. It was so cool.
That was really neat. So, and then Kohler had like the best plumbing setup. It was like this tub right here. This was so cool. So this tub has it's called self-fill technology that they've patented. So the thing on the top is not a faucet. That is a humidifier that puts out essential oil like steam for you while you're in your bath. And so it has an overflow, but it keeps the perfect level of water by this self-fill drain in the bottom that not only drains, but also fills from the base. So that I was like, oh my God, we have to put this in a project. This is so freaking cool. And then
a dream.
Yes. And then it overflows and drains down below. So their display was incredible. Studio McGee has a new collection with them. So she was actually there having a talk, which I was like, what are all these like people doing here? And I was like, oh, it's because Shay McGee is here talking and there's like 500 people standing here watching her. But she has a beautiful new collection with them. And then this company Cast is through Kohler, and they had so many cute products. They have these cute little like wavy sinks and matching faucets that go with it and the drains, and it's all made of concrete, and they have some beautiful colors to choose from. So those were
so hold on a second. Time out. You're going too fast for me. Do me a favor.
I know we're trying not to close it down here.
No. But do me a favor. Go back to that sink for a minute, because I got a question for you.
Okay.
Serious question, no snark.
Let's hear it.
At what point something like this? And I remember last year, I think it was Kohler who had the peach toilet and the apple green toilet, and I'm just curious, when does it become harvest gold and avocado green for you? When does it become gimmicky versus high style luxury design? How do you, it's kind of like the auto show, right? When you go to an auto show and you see the concept cars, which are never going to be in someone's garage, versus what turns into an everyday product, which will be on the dealer lots. Where does something stop being luxury specifiable design and be something that's kind of cool, albeit gimmicky?
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. And sorry, I was literally speaking at the rate of like a complete psychopath. We were like trying to settle down. I have a couple things I need to tell you.
I'm not rushing you. I am not rushing you at all. Let's talk through everything you want to. It's all good.
Feel free to add, Holly.
Yeah.
But,
well, I will say, so when it comes to like the funky colored toilets and things, Kohler also did have two colors, I guess, that they pulled from the vault. It was like a teal and then a minty color. I definitely think that can be gimmicky. I think you have to use it sparingly. Like my coworker, Sarah Beth, she's working on this really cool remodel in Maryland, and the client has really funky tastes. And so they wanted to use the green toilet because it worked in the powder bath.
Yeah.
Because it worked with the like crazy tile and like wallpaper that they had going on in there. So I think you have to know that there's a time and a place for those kind of things and not overdo it, putting it everywhere.
I think that, again, like pantries, not laundry, like a pantry, a powder bath, a pool bath, kids bath, something like that. There are time and place for things like that where they make sense and they really like bring the scheme together, where they don't seem gimmicky, but like doing an entire avocado green kitchen again or something like that. I mean, maybe for some people, but that would have to be a very specific.
Well, and the kind of scallop wiggly edge is definitely very trendy right now. And this sink is cute, but it definitely feels to me more like a kid's bath kind of space or pool bath. Like that. Something that is a little less like proper.
Yeah. We kind of
okay. That's fair.
Leave something like that to the more of those like jewel box spaces, like a powder bath, or a butler pantry, where you're going like all out with like fun color and
you're also talking about. I mean, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I would imagine too, when you're designing something, you're not designing it for 100 years because tastes are going to change. It's architecture, 100, 150, 200 years. Design, 15, 20,
it's
25 on the outside.
Yeah.
It's what?
When you're ready to rip it all out.
When you get tired of that wavy sink, come us back. We'll have something else, which I think that's how we operate a lot of our designs. Like, we don't want to be trendy, but we want to be on trend and timeless. Like I was thinking about this the other day because we have a project that we finished probably like 3 years ago that we haven't photographed yet. And for various reasons, like they kind of did a couple of rooms and stages, and we did some later things. And I was like, I'm just going to wait to photograph. And then I kind of got to the point where I was like, well, is it too late to photograph? And I was like, no, actually, because we did a great job of this home being on trend, but not trendy, to where I still love it 3 or 4 years from now. I don't think I really would change anything about it. So we try to be that way with all of our clients. And some of our clients are more vocal about like things that they like really want. And they're like, I don't care if it's trendy. Like, it's so cute and funky. Like, I want it. Yeah. So, and
I bring that up because, one of the things that happened this year, and by the way, after this comment, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Show me whatever you want. I'm not rushing you at all, but what I will say, and it relates to, and it relates to being a sink. So there is a consultant, not a designer, who created through AI, AI generated sink and then found a manufacturer to produce it. And they were like, isn't this great? And it was at KBIS this year, but they're like, isn't this great? This is an AI designed sink. And it was actually produced from AI. And it was funny. Every designer I've showed it to has had a name for it, which I will not share here, but
I gotta see it.
I will. Yeah, I'll show you offline. I'm not trying to out anybody. I'm not trying to make anyone uncomfortable, but I have problems with it because what they did was they created something. AI was the gimmick that they used to say, this is why we created it. And a consultant created it, not a designer, which means that it took an opportunity from someone like you to craft and create a line with a major brand in lieu of this consultant doing it and selling it. And it's ugly, and it's not personal opinion. I think it's ugly, and I don't think it's as serviceable as another vessel would be. And because of that, that's why I don't like the idea. I love designers. I love what you do. I want to see you design sinks because you've installed hundreds, if not thousands of them. You know what works. You know what doesn't. You know why things are produced. So that's my only idea. I will leave it to you.
Okay. Well, I will say, I think something that is great about a designer, and I think sometimes people think, oh, it's just like picking out cute stuff or like choosing a paint color or pillow, but a lot of what we do is highly focused on things being functional. So like you're saying, the AI generated sink didn't really seem that like serviceable, that's probably not something we would specify because people got to live in these houses.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. That's the first and foremost. We have a very good balance of form and function. They both have to follow one another.
Yeah.
Okay. So one other thing that I wanted to just quickly talk about was if you're looking for fun, colorful fixtures, Kraus had a whole display of all these super cool, fun, colorful fixtures. And they have like a design lab where you can pick all your different colors. I think if you keep going up, and their price point is always
this one
pretty attractive. No, that was a different one.
Okay.
Keep going. I thought it was at the very top. Well, shoot. Never mind. I thought
there it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have pink, blue,
like
purple.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it's cute. And, like this is something, again, that is maybe a little trendy, let's say. But the great thing about shower fixtures is, if we specified this for a kid's bath and then the kid gets older, well, all you have to do is keep the same valves in the wall and just switch the trims out. So if
and by the way, I will just stop you there for a second, because that is also part of what I think is so amazing about what you do, is that you can take an idea like this. You take the orange one, for example, and you might think, oh, that's a color that's on trend, or the pink, and that might be on trend for 2023, 2024, 2025. And then maybe you move away, but there's no rule that says you can't bring that back.
Right.
Change out the tile in 20 years to the same color orange, or go from the orange to a white. It's because a designer had the vision based on what their client wanted. You can totally make this work, or you move it to another space, but it's well made and you can make it work for years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we pretty much hit all of our high. Oh, last here, we'll leave on this note. Yeah, I know you wanted to talk about this. The monogram,
the ice maker,
cocktail ice maker, again, with the incredible technology.
Man, I don't know why I love this thing the way that I do. I just love this thing.
It is so cool. That's why.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, it is this contraption by Monogram that makes a perfectly round, perfectly clear cocktail ice cube using heat press. Is that what they said?
I think so.
In 60 seconds, you can literally sit there and watch it form into an ice cube, this perfectly round ice cube. And I was just couldn't believe my eyeballs. I was like, how is this even possible? So, I think it's like $1,500 or something like that.
Yeah. And it's a countertop appliance.
And it looks kind of cool. Yeah. It has a little brass ring around it. Oh, this is us recording it. So
while you're playing that, and you can keep playing it on a loop because I can never get enough of this. Can I tell you what one of the things that I think is so amazing about this? And by the way, this is not, as I mentioned before, they are a sponsor partner of Convo by Design, but I've known them for a long time. John, I've known John with Monogram for years, and here's what I love about this. It's not just a utilitarian. It's not just a utility product that makes a thing that you enjoy. It's an experience.
Yeah.
It's like the coffee machines. It's an experience that making this particular item and putting it into a cocktail. And by the way, the water's pure. You can see through the ice. It's not gonna melt and make the drink watery. It's something that the whole experience that you get to use it and manipulate it to manipulate a cocktail to make a cocktail that's perfect. I love the fact that you get to use it, and it has not just the purpose of what it does, but the experience of making it and using it.
Yeah. And I think they said too that they've had people that will like brand like a logo into the ice after it's done, a heat stamp.
And then you can brand your little logo on there or something like that. It's just so cool. And it's like it's 60 seconds. So while you're making a cocktail, this cocktail ice can be forming. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, I'm not sponsored by Monogram. I can tell you unbiasedly that they are incredible. So I was not asked by Josh to bring that up just so everyone knows. But I mean, if Monogram wants to partner, kidding. We're here, Monogram.
Well, and by the way, we didn't talk about this, and this is probably something for another conversation. But I want here. We can end the share, but I want your take on this last thing. Is by going there, by seeing, by feeling, by touching, by talking and listening. Do you get the opportunity to turn that into a business opportunity? Do you get to use that? Like go up to somebody from Monogram or whatever brand you want to use, or whatever partner you want to work with, and say, hey, listen, I noticed you guys do this. I specify it this way. I think we should be working together. Do you use a show like KBIS as an opportunity for business development?
I didn't, but thank you for explaining to me how I should have. Gosh, we should have talked before. I'm just kidding. I mean, I think I don't go in anything ever with the intentions of that. But I kind of look at things from a perspective of I get to know a line, I get to use it, I like it, I want to sell it to clients. I know that it's serviceable. I know that we're not going to have, issues with it. Then if it's a brand that I'm really excited about, then yes, I would maybe go to them and say like, hey, like you said, I've been working, through speccing your product for years now. I love it. I have it in my own home. Can I be a brand ambassador or whatever that might be? Yes, that would be something. Maybe I don't know that I would necessarily use a show like that, but if I happen to meet somebody there, great. But we were really just more focused on the experience and learning, all about what it had to offer, and kind of just getting to know the structure of the show and kind of get seasoned to it so we can continue to go and continue to learn.
And I do have a few friends who work for offices where they are doing some like white label brand partnerships. And from what I've heard from them, it's really all about the relationships, getting that close connection with these vendors. So I do think that KBIS, being able to meet some people that are not necessarily just your local reps and kind of getting your name out there would help with something like that.
Yeah. If that's an intention for you, if it's just kind of collateral of being there, great. That's kind of more how I look at it for myself personally. But if your intention is for that, yes, that's a good way to get in front of some of the higher ups. For sure. So it was a great experience. Definitely want to do it again. I don't really think I would do anything differently. Would
Mm-mm.
you?
No.
No?
We had a lot of fun
Yeah.
at the show, outside of the show.
Outside of
So
the show,
it was
a lot of
great.
fun. You know, Vegas was just fun.
There's just so much to see and do.
Yeah.
I think the first day that we were there, we were awake for 24
The
hours
full 24
because
hours.
we were like, we're not going to bed yet. Okay, there's things to do.
There's things to do. We have to see things. We had to make a special stop
Yeah.
somewhere.
So if you are going to KBIS, make sure you get some good night's sleep beforehand.
Yes.
You won't be sleeping much.
Yeah.
while
That
you're
is some great advice right there. It really is. Prep, hydrate, comfortable shoes.
there. Yes.
Well, and we were
yes.
so dumb. We were when we were booking our travel, we in our minds were like, this is great. We're gonna leave at 6 a.m. because that'll put us there like, early. Well, we were looking at the Dallas time of when we would get there. Well, Vegas is 2 hours behind us. So we literally landed at like 7
Yeah, we landed at
o'clock
7 a.m.
in the morning. And we were like, "What? Oh my God, I got up at like 4 this morning for no reason. Like we could have left at 9 and still got here at like 9,
yeah.
around 9 and had a full
It's so
day.
true.
So we just kind of like hung out in the hotel and had breakfast for like a couple hours. We couldn't even check into our hotel. We had to like check our bags. We were like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
But we made our way onto the show and got an early start at it. So it was good.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So what's next? What are you doing next?
We're
Where
going
are you
to High
going
Point.
next? Oh, High Point.
Yes, we're going to High Point. We'll be there the 13th through the 16th. I'm talking on 2 panels. And Marcy, our procurement manager, is speaking on a panel regarding procurement. So it'll be a really great market for us. I'm excited. My first panel. So really wish me luck.
Hey, I'm wishing you great luck. You want to cover it and do this again?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. We'll talk again in May. June, May. We'll talk again in May.
Okay, awesome.
All
That'd
right.
be fun. And on my panel, I'm going to be sure to not talk at lightning speed like I just did a little bit ago when I thought you were ending the call and I needed to tell everybody about the sinks.
Yeah. Take your time. Enjoy the process. I love that. So that's going to be your first panel at High Point.
Yes, yeah, first one, and then I have another one the next day. So
Love it.
very excited.
Have fun. Break a leg.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Awesome. This was great. Thank you both for doing this. I love this. And I'm excited to hear about your High Point experience.
Are you going to High Point this year?
I am not going this year, but last week I published my High Point. I spoke with the CEO of Tammy Nagum of High Point Market. And so I just published that conversation for people who are going. That's how you prep for that. You should listen. And learn. That's how you prep for the show. There you go.
And Reno and I are going to go to West Edge in LA. So I'm going to need to talk to you about that. We're going to go in November. So I'm going to need to talk to you about that beforehand and kind of get the lay of the land because I know that you're big on that.
Love them.
Yes. I went to the one here in Dallas and was like, oh my gosh, I can only imagine how great the one in LA is because there's
It's very different. It's very different. It's amazing. It's very cool. I love what Megan and Troy have done with that show. It's great.
Great. Well, it's good to talk to you. Thank you so
You
much.
too. This was awesome. Anjali and Holly, thank you for doing this.
Of course, thanks for having us.
It was so
Absolutely. Have fun at High Point and we'll reconnect soon.
Okay. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Angeline. That was amazing. Loved your take. We are going to be back in a minute with John Weinstein of Franz Wigner right after this. As a busy professional designer, you know how important it is to find the right partnerships. Partnerships that allow you to specify the right products for every project. Professionals like you don't just have time to sit around and waste, right? So let me tell you about one of my partnerships. Pacific Sales is here to serve you with expert, knowledgeable, and non-commissioned professionals to help you specify the right product for all your projects. Non-commissioned. That means their only incentive is your satisfaction. Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home, a Best Buy company, has just that, with over 60 years of service in Southern California. Pacific Sales is your destination for exploration, advice, and inspiration. And you will find all your favorite brands, like Monogram, and their commitment to providing exceptional products, starting with materials. Monogram sources commercial-grade stainless steel on their refrigerators, unscratchable sapphire glass on their cooktop knobs, durable marine-grade bearings on their dishwasher racks. Monogram takes inspiration from the leading edge materials used in the high-end automotive and aeronautics industry to provide you with lasting beauty and exceptional quality. The beauty is backed by the same level of attention to performance, which is why Monogram appliances are trusted and sought after by chefs all over the country. Chain-driven French oven doors that can be opened with one hand, and an industry-exclusive hearth oven that allows for all-electric indoor brick oven-style cooking without the need for external ventilation. These are just a few of the things that make Monogram so special. Pacific Sales features Monogram appliances, and Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home team is here to help you and offer their Pro Rewards program, which is a trade program unlike any you have experienced before. And here's the cherry on top, access. Access to exclusive builder trade incentives from top brands like Monogram. Visit a Pacific Sales showroom today to learn how you can unlock additional savings and benefits. Don't miss out on the opportunity to work with the best of the best. Visit Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home today and elevate your projects to new heights. Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home, where excellence meets expertise.
Hi, I'm John Weinstein, CEO of FV America Corporation in Chicago.
Where are we today?
Today we're at the 60th anniversary of the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show in Las Vegas.
What does a show like this mean? Who do you get to see here? Why do you come to a show like this?
The Kitchen and Bath Industry Show has been at the forefront of design and product, specifically in kitchen and bath, for all these years. And it's attended by not only dealers, but designers and industry people, the trade, builders, and it gives the opportunity for manufacturers to showcase their products and have great meetings and interaction with possible clientele.
Tell me about Franz Wegner.
Our Franz Wegner faucet brand was created to compete in the luxury sector and to be something unique, and it was actually created for the North American market and geared towards the specifications in North America, to be easy to install, but at the same time have a wonderful, special quality about these designs.
What would you like specifiers to know about the Franz Wegner brand?
And specifically, so besides just the wonderful aesthetic of it and the beautiful design, and what goes into the design is more than what you see with your eye, is the way it's built. And so it was created for the American plumber, actually. Even though we are based in Buenos Aires, this product was designed for the North American market, and so installation and all the fit and finish is just paramount with us.
Why? Where does that start?
So, and our design, of course, starts with our design team. We have a wonderful design team, spearheaded by Joseph Moskovic in Chicago, and with his team of designers in Buenos Aires. They work together to develop beautiful designs that are timeless yet on trend.
Tell me about the history of the company.
So our company is rooted in Latin America. We're actually dates back to late 1800s in Germany, and it's a family-owned business that has multiple nine different companies throughout 35 different countries, and the Franz Wegner brand is the boutique luxury brand of our parent company. So with over 100 years of experience, we have developed this wonderful kind of niche boutique brand for our market.
How do you like specifiers and designers to use the product or to make the product available for them to use? How are you shown?
So part of our branding and the value of the brand is paramount with us, that we decided not to sell through big box stores and not to sell via e-commerce, but to make this a much more personal transaction, not to be transactional, but a more personal method of connecting with the trade to bring our product to market. And we have select dealers, decorative plumbing and hardware dealers throughout North America and beyond, actually, who are trained in our brand and know how to convey the nuances, the beauty, the design of the Franz Wegner brand to the end user. And this all creates value in the brand to the end user and an emotional connection to the product like you would like to have with any luxury good.
Tell me about the collection this year.
So the collection itself is, though overall it may look modern or contemporary, it actually straddles. There's some transitional. We go from modern, contemporary to transitional and even into a classic traditional product. So we have a unique look that is Franz Wegner, but we still cover a multitude of design aesthetics.
What about colorways and material?
So what's really unique for Franz Wegner is our parent company, FV Group in Buenos Aires, actually manufactures brass. So we are a brass manufacturer. We even sell it to other industry. And we're a prime manufacturer in that the factory that our Franz Wegner product comes out of, one factory just north of Buenos Aires, is a prime manufacturer. By that I mean we're not only making the brass and machining it there and designing everything, but right through to the box. So everything is done under our control. That translates to a product that not only are we environmentally responsible and know where everything's coming from and we control that, which does translate to the designer and the consumer who's conscious of where products are coming from and that we're not dumping into the rivers and oceans and things like that. We go to great lengths. And actually the factory is, the whole company is family owned and run by 160 family members, which is unique in our industry in itself. And so the duty of care, the responsibility that the fourth and fifth generation, family members take is really unsurpassed.
How does that change over years? Or because it doesn't change, it leads to a certain consistency that people can know that the product is consistent over time?
The history of the company with its being family run and having multiple generations is looking into the future and bringing up their young ones now to run the company and to do different things and to look at AI and everything else into the future. This company is going to be around a long, long time. And I think people identify with the Franz Wegner brand in that regard, that we're here to been around for a long time and here to stay, and it's something that they can bank on.
I find it interesting too. It's like with all of the new terms that come out over time, quiet luxury, sustainable luxury, soulful luxury, it all feels kind of like the same thing, but it's imbued in the philosophy behind the product and design of the company that's producing it. How does Franz Wegner view luxury?
Luxury takes different forms and can mean different things for different people, I think. And it's like faucets can get you to point A to point B, much like a car or a watch or whatever it is. But the way it gets you there and the feeling of it, the materials, just the overall essence of a luxury brand, and maybe it's not for everybody, but those that do identify with something that they might own that is of a real high quality, that they feel really good about and will last a long time and perform maybe, in a similar way, but possibly, hopefully better than its counterparts that are not luxury products. It really has a great feeling. There's an emotional connection to luxury product.
And one of the things that I have heard about Franz Wegner as it relates and as it pertains to that brand loyalty, that is one of the things that I think Franz Wegner really enjoys. And I'm talking specifically about brand luxury by those who specify on behalf of their clients. But really the trade, there's a certain reputation that you enjoy. How is that maintained? How have you how do you think about that?
So we are still a very young brand. And it was designed to compete in the luxury sector. And we keep that in mind with everything we do and every aspect of the design, from the way it installs to the recessed, or the recessed aerators and little filters that we put on supply lines so that product's not clogging up from sediment in the lines. Everything is in the little details. If you were to look at one of our flat polished surfaces, you will see it'll look like a mirror. And that might not seem like much to the layman, but if you compared it against other product in the marketplace, you'll see that it's quite a difference. There's quite a difference. And so, again, it's all the little details, and going forward in every aspect of every new collection that we design, you'll see we keep this in mind, that, everything that we do. It's funny, but Joseph Moskovic, who is the father of this brand, said to me once, we were touring our factory, and he said the term good enough doesn't exist in his vocabulary to his design team and the people at the factory. If you have to say, if someone says it's good enough, then it's not good enough.
Is that an official moniker internally?
So, although that's not an official moniker, maybe it should be. So, it's always stuck in my mind. That was 6 years ago. Joseph said that to me, and I've never forgotten it. And it's true. He is a stickler for detail, and I think I know the whole design team has learned a lot from him, and they all work in concert. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't see the entire design team on Teams calls working on the most minute details of something. It can be the smallest detail of a hand shower that they will work on for weeks and weeks and weeks before it's just right, before Joseph says, yes, now we got it, that's right, and move on to something different. And it takes a long time. Some of these collections are on the boards, the design boards, for years, many years. And I think that people don't realize that, what goes into it. But also with luxury brands of anything, when the layman might ask, well, why does that cost so much? Why is this so expensive? Why is that faucet $1,300 when there's a $300 one? Because not only the time that goes into it, but the materials that go into it. The fact that the quality control is checked to, like crazy. So you throw away a lot of product. So to make one faucet, it might cost 20, 25 faucets that go in the trash before that one final one gets the okay, gets put in a box, and gets sent to the dealer.
You know what's surprising to me? In our industry, people don't really talk about cost per use. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, someone would say, well, I've got something that costs X amount. I use it very, infrequently, but they're okay because it's a high-end luxury item, but they don't use very often, but they paid for that quality. Yet you'll have something else that you will use every single day, every day, and you want it will last. If it's well made, it'll last not years, not even necessarily decades, but generations. Mm-hmm. The cost per use on that is not even factored in, but you're not creating things that are going to be retired in years, are you?
Right. The longevity for luxury goods is precisely that, they're made so that they do last a long time. And something like a bath faucet or a kitchen faucet that is used over and over multiple times a day, and it's often taken for granted, I think, is something that should truly be considered when someone's making the purchase for a product like this. Many years ago, I once was involved in another industry, and it was actually water filtration. And it was an expensive thing for the whole home. But when you broke it down, it was less than a cup of coffee a day. And that can carry over into any product. But the main thing is, yes, you want it to last. It'll last. A good quality brass faucet may last over 100 years, and it probably will if it's made well. The wonderful thing about Franz Wegner, and it goes back through anything we do, relationships with people, is that it comes from it really comes from a place of love. It might sound silly to say this, but I've worked with our parent company and the owners, the Wegeners, and the care that everyone takes throughout the whole company, not only for the products and the environment, but their people itself. It's family first kind of company. And it does translate to the product, to the brand. As we go out and we market with our dealers, we really partnership, and it's, again, why we don't sell online, and we don't want it to be just a transactional type of product. We want people to understand the story behind the luxury brand of Franz Wegener and these impressive designs that are unique to the brand. It feels good. It feels good to know that the company, well, we tell our dealers, we've got your back. Anything goes wrong, or a customer doesn't like something, or it's not the color I thought it might be, we come to the rescue. We're not here to sell a faucet and sell a kitchen faucet or a bath faucet. We're here to make a statement of our brand and what we do and what we love to do every day. And another thing with the brand that we really haven't touched on is the finishes. I think I touched a little bit on the fact that our finishing is second to none in terms of like mirror finishes on flat surfaces. But our PVD, physical vapor deposition finishes, are also really tops in the industry. It's a durable lifetime finish that we do across 9 of our 12 finishes, and we're really proud of it. And I think it speaks volumes to enhance the collections that you see.
Thank you, John. Amazing. Next, we're going to hear from Kevy Murphy of K Murphy Interiors, and we'll be right back with her right after this. Man, I love this. I have a new sponsor partner on the show that I want to introduce you to if you're not already familiar with them. If you are a specifying designer, architect, landscape architect, or savvy design enthusiast, if you have heard about the quiet luxury movement, this idea of crafting a lifestyle around understated elegance, simplicity, and sophistication, there's more to it than that. And I will add uncomplicated living. Isn't that what we all strive for? I am extremely happy. I'm really thrilled to share a company that embodies all of this, utilizing proprietary technology and a focus on sustainability in their stunningly beautiful products. It's TimberTech. TimberTech is the premium decking company delivering multi-tonal, color blending, and natural wood textures in a product that is virtually indistinguishable from a natural wood product. What does this mean? It means it's everything wood should be. A beautiful look that blends seamlessly with a well-designed space, providing years of enjoyment and performs the way you want it to. No splintering, fading, peeling, cracking, or rotting. I had a wood deck at our Manhattan Beach home, and I gotta tell you, it was exasperating every year doing the random board flip, taking out nails, resetting them, restaining them. It was a complete pain. It was complicated, and I didn't look forward to it. I wish I had TimberTech, because TimberTech is not only uncomplicated, it's beautiful. It comes in over 20 finish options and 9 collections, and 85% of the material is recycled. This is premium decking for your next project. Learn more and specify it for your next design project. TimberTech on the socials or timbertech.com, where you can find a retailer near you, as well as a number of tools to create, design, order samples, and get the expert help you may need. TimberTech is uncomplicated luxury and performs. It's your choice for your next deck project. Kevy, love this. You were on the show not too long ago, and
Yes.
I said to you, hey, you're going to be going to KBIS. I'm only going to be there for 24 hours this year because I had to pop in and pop out and then head somewhere else. But I got to cover a lot of things, but there's no way you can cover a show like this in 24 hours. So I said, hey, why don't you go cover this? You and Angeline Guido Hall both covered this for me. And it's really interesting to see your take and her take. And I think more than a few of them are similar, which is really interesting. But before we get to all the good stuff, what was your impression of the show? Because this was a first for you, yes?
Yes. It was cool to see everything because I had never been there. And my daughter was turning 16, so we were going to Vegas for the weekend before the show. So it worked out perfectly. We got to see a little bit of U2 at the Sphere, which was cool. She got to see the old guys. That's what she referred to them as. And we got to see Adele, which was incredible for her birthday. And then we headed to they headed home and we headed to the show. Thought it was going to be overwhelming at first, but I feel like High Point is so gigantic that this seemed manageable because the show is a lot shorter here. And it was exciting to see all of the new innovations and some of the design or brands that I had not heard of. But I also heard that this year there was a lot of vendors that weren't showing because I think last year was a big year. So I missed the bigger year for tech and introduction to everything. So I thought it was great. It's probably not something that I need to go to every year, but I thought it was a cool introduction, and being chosen for Design Hounds was awesome. So that was like a great thing too.
So it is interesting. And by the way, it's funny. I took my daughter, who's older than your daughter. I bought her tickets to see Adele for her 16th birthday as well. So
I mean, let me tell you, Adele Vegas is worth the trip for the shows. I think the shows are phenomenal. Adele was like show stopping. It's probably the best concert I've ever seen with 4,000 people in the Coliseum. It was so good.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of the thing too. Talk to me about the experience, because KBIS, I love KBIS, I really do, and I enjoy going every year to cover it in some capacity. I did not go when the show was in Orlando, and I don't think I will when it goes to Florida. If it goes back to Florida, rather, I don't know that I would go. But being in Vegas, I will probably always go, just because. Talk to me about your experience.
So I have not been to Vegas in a long time. I went one time before this to the Mirage, I think it was the Mirage where they used to have those lions in the cage out front that were like always looking like they were exhausted and exhausted because it was so hot. I'd only been to Vegas the one time there to go to a wedding. So this was my second time. So this time we were going, and we were with my childhood best friend, who's my daughter's godmother, who goes to Vegas every year for the jewelry show. So she knows Vegas very well. So we were staying at the Encore Tower, and we got dinner reservations at Delilah, which is a big deal at Vegas because it's one of the hotspot, speakeasy nightclub themed, 20s, 40s kind of a theme. It was very fun. And they have live performances. And then the next day we went to Bouchon, which we have in New York. So that wasn't exciting, but it was always a fan favorite. And we walked around and did shopping and looked around and did all the touristy things. And then for dinner, we went to the another supper club and watched some live performances before we saw U2. So the entertainment aspect of it was crazy because we were nonstop for 48 hours. So that was like very fun. And certainly for a 16-year-old running all over, it was fun. But I would love to go back for the shows. I'm not a big gambler, but I thought the shows and the experiences there were really, really awesome.
Now, how did you prepare for this show, considering you're in I think it's like 1 million square feet? Not exaggerating. I mean, it is so big. It is so big, and it is so compact because you're in one space, but it's big. How did you prepare to take it? How many days were you there for?
We were there for the full show. So we came in the day before with the Design Hounds and had a dinner. So I want to say we were there 3 days. So the show is 3 days long. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I left on the red eye. So I got to have some time at the end of the show to just walk around. We had some set appointments with some of the sponsors for the Design Hounds. So we had a special presentation by LG and SLS, which was really cool. We came in early before the show opened one day, and they put on a whole presentation of all their latest and greatest products, which were pretty impressive. We also had a special viewing at Compact, which is a sintered stone out of Spain. I've actually had the pleasure of using their product on a project. So I was very familiar with them. So I was excited that they were a sponsor. And then we also were taken around a building supply company that supplies lumber houses. So like by us, it would be like a Riverhead Building Supply or one of those types of locations. You could buy the product from that as the retail end, but we got to see the main corporate end too. So that was interesting, all the products and the different building materials that they made. So we had some special exhibits we had to go to. But then I just found it like, I just basically did it methodically and ran up and down the aisles looking at things, because that's how I felt like when I first went to market is what I did. I just wanted to check out everything and not see anything, and then go home at the end of the night and look at my notes and see what I still wanted to see that I hadn't seen, find out where they were and map it out, and basically just walk the grid. So it was a lot of walking.
There is a lot of walking. There's a lot of walking. You know, what is a show like this? Actually, not just the show like this, but what do these shows do for you as a specifier? So what does it do for you? Is it just that it gives you the opportunity to go and touch and feel and see everything in one place? What does it do for you?
Well, I was thinking that what it was going to do was bring new vendors to my attention that I perhaps had not, come to on my own. But we're in New York City, so we have a location on Long Island and in the city. So we see a lot. So there's a lot available to us. So I was hoping that I would find different vendors that would provide inspiration for projects, either plumbing supply, tile, or outdoor space. They had a ton of awesome moving mechanisms, awnings, that could shade you and shield you from the rain, that were really cool because it's part of a building supply also. So that was really awesome. Fire pits, things like that I don't necessarily deal with all the time, but I got to experience walking through the show. So I guess the expectation was that I was going to be inspired, see things I hadn't seen, and leave with some new vendors that I liked that I could use on projects that were coming up.
So what I asked you to do, and first of all, thank you for doing this. Second of all, I have become just so enamored with this experience. I did this for the first time. I want to say it was back in 2016 or 2017. There was a Christopher Kennedy design house in Turlock, California, and I could not make it out there. And a friend of mine who's a remarkable designer and has an incredible workroom, Nancy Russert, I said, she was doing a room, and I said to Nancy, I was like, hey, will you do me a favor? Will you go cover this for me? And we'll run it as an episode of Convo by Design. And she did. And I mean, it was amazing. She covered the whole thing. She gave me this experience. Like, I felt like I was there. And I thought, I want to do this so that designers for designers could cover this, and someone who maybe couldn't make it this year could feel like they were there. And that's what you did. And I absolutely love this. How was the experience for you as an editor, as a contributor, as someone who is actually taking someone else through your journey? Did you think about that while you were doing it?
Yes, because I felt like there were certainly things that I had known about and products that I currently use that I still think were noteworthy to tell people about. So in that regard, yes, because for myself, what I would probably be doing was just cataloging the things that I didn't know. But in this experience, we were tasked with picking 5 of our top vendors that we really liked after walking through the whole show. And I chose a vendor that I use all the time because I really, really like them, and I wanted the word out in case people didn't know about them.
So walk me through this, because one of the things that I noticed you covered, and I love this, and it has nothing to do, it's more the builder side. I just kind of wanted to start with this, was the acoustic ceiling panel.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna see it. Let me see if I can play.
I think
this.
it's a movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's any audio. We're gonna give this a try.
Get ready.
The acoustic ceilings, the custom wood doors, decorative panels. So it's really cool. It's all backed by paper. So it's all backed by paper so that it can bend into radiuses.
Interesting. Okay. So did you know about this product before you went to the show?
Not this particular product, but I'm very sensitive to acoustics as I get a little bit older, I hate to say. So when we go out to restaurants, I find oftentimes they're not done well with acoustic sound paneling because there's so many different ways to do it. This happened to be a specific company that offered these cool substrates. I had not heard of this one in particular, but I'm aware of it because I've gone out so many times recently that I've noticed that the restaurants have not taken into account how important the acoustics are when you're in a restaurant, because if they're not done well, and there's so many opportunities to do them well, you can't hear anybody talking to you. It's just like you're in a vacuum, and not in a good way. It's like you can only speak to the person that's sitting directly next to you and barely hear them because of the mutterings and all of the sound that's bouncing around in the room. Whereas if they had used acoustic paneling, whether it be any kind of felt or this kind of new like decorative so that it doesn't look ugly, it could have avoided all of that. So as of late, I've been very aware of that. So I pay more attention to it because it interests me how many people don't know about it.
Well, and what's interesting too is it's fascinating to me because in a post-pandemic world, the home, I mean, look, I have a home studio. I had a home studio before the pandemic, so I was dealing with these issues. But I can tell you from someone who now benefits from all of the products that have come out since then that you now see. It's just fascinating, and I would imagine it's not just for the restaurant, for the hospitality projects. It's got to be for residential as well. Yes.
Yep. And also for offices. My husband is actually moving spaces in One Penn Plaza, and they are doing a substrate on the floor, which is going to be just a polished concrete. And I was explaining to him and his partners that you need a sound absorber, be carpet or some felt application on the wall with the ceiling tiles, because the concrete is going to cause the noise just to be different, and you're not going to be used to that sound. You need something to like absorb it. And we're going to do felt on the walls of the interior offices in decorative felt. It'll be awesome, Phil's felt, and to give it a design aesthetic, but it'll be very purposeful.
Yeah, and it's interesting too that to have these applications that are both for hospitality and now more residential: sound, air, water, safety, security,
Right.
Pets, kids, work, school. I mean,
You keep going.
how has this changed the nature of what you do and how you do it?
I don't think it's necessarily changed the nature of what we do. I think the products have changed based on the demand. So many things are much more friendly to so many things that before they weren't. So for instance, you get a client that has 4 dogs, 4 kids, and they're not getting silk on any of their upholstery, but really no one is anymore because they are doing indoor outdoor that can be scrubbed or bleached, and it still has a beautiful hand and it looks beautiful, and they come in tons of different designs and colors. And so I think the products are changing for the needs of the people. So our job is to just stay on top of that, which we do, because we're excited about all the changes in the design industry as well. So I think the vendors are meeting the needs of what's changing in people's lives.
Yeah, no, agreed. So we're looking now at, and by the way, I have to say this. So yes, this is a podcast, and when we do visuals, we're talking through them. So hopefully you know, if you're listening to this and you're a designer, you're a specifier, and you know, you want to know more about it, you're hearing what it is, what it looks like, how, and then you, in many cases, you can go to the show notes and find links to this. If not, the names are shared with you so you can check them out. But it's really fascinating to me to do it this way, because I feel like hearing the stories behind the product really piques more interest than simply seeing something, because I think we take advantage of an overabundance of content these days. The image that we're sharing now, what is this?
Okay, let me see. Oh, so this is a really cool company called James Martin, and that was a vanity that I liked. They make a ton of different varieties and sizes of vanities. They're really cool, and they're at a really good price point. You can open a direct account as a designer, And this brand I had not used before. And this is like in lieu of someone that wants to do like a basement bathroom or a kid's bath where they don't want to spend a ton of money having a millwork or custom make it. I thought that it was really cool. And I loved the different sizes it came in, because this happened to be a double vanity, but it also came as a single powder room, and a single larger vanity. So it's called James Martin, and they had some really pretty wood finishes too that I liked.
I love that. I think that's amazing. Now, is there any place you want me to go, or can I bounce back? Or
you can do whatever you want, however you want to show it. I would love to talk about the ones that I selected for the top 5 design hounds at some point for you. But I did a ton of different videos for everything, and I loved it all.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll do that. So tell me about this. Let's see. Hold on. What are we watching here?
I think this is at Compaq.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so Compaq is basically a quartz. A cindered stone means it's made out of materials that are pushed under pressure, and the veining goes through it. So some of the problems that people have with a porcelain or a quartz is that the veining does not go through the slab. So when it's cut, it needs to always be mitered. Compaq comes with the veining through it. So when you cut it, it's like real stone. So that makes it like very different from a lot of the other vendors on the market.
Got it. Okay, that's cool. And then, okay, so which are the 5 that you celebrated? We got to one already.
You got to the vanity, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the next one?
The next one I would say is SLS, which is the Signature Kitchen Suites. SKS, Signature Kitchen Suites, and it's the 48-inch, the dual fuel Pro, which I was so impressed with. I mean, it has 3 different ways of cooking on the cooktop, which is the only one out there, which is really awesome. It does sous vide, which is, if you're not familiar with sous vide, it's when you vacuum pack the food and you put it in a water bath. It's a very, very professional way of cooking, because the meat or the whatever you're cooking gets to a certain temperature and just holds. So you can't overcook it. And then you can brown it however you'd like. It does sous vide, it has induction, and it has gas, all on the 48-inch range. So that's pretty cool.
Interesting. All right. So you also bring up a great subject. Are you designing with induction yet?
Not so many people like that.
What are you hearing? Why?
I think people are just used to a lot of the kitchens that we do. Not everybody uses. They like the kitchens to be nice, but they don't necessarily use them. Some of the kitchens that we do, people are stuck on the brands that they're stuck on. So a client will want a Wolf, and Sub-Zero, like just that's what they want their appliances to be, Wolf Sub-Zero. So we are actually doing a brand new construction house, and I wanted to get some information about different appliances, because Sub-Zero and Wolf didn't go to KBIS. Not sure why, but they weren't there. So it was interesting to see SKS, because this is the only product on the market. And then I was going to meet with the rep and talk to him about it, and meet with the person I used to source appliances through, just to talk about the reputation of the company, the ability for the customer service and things like that, because they're all around the same price point. You know, they've caught up in price. So it's not like you're getting a huge value going to SKS versus Wolf, because they're just as good. So I thought it was interesting how their test kitchen was demonstrated with the cooks and how they had everything out, and it was impressive. So I would take this to the new client and say, would you be interested in this range? Because you can do all 3 things that we talked about here.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. For someone who loves to cook and I have loved gas, and I've used gas the majority of my life. About a year ago, went to induction, and I absolutely love it.
Right.
Love it. I love it for a lot of reasons. There are a lot of things I'm not crazy about. You know, you have to be careful with a glass top.
Yes.
You just have to. And, you know, I don't feel like the way that the glass tops are now would work in a commercial kitchen. I just don't think it would work. And Yeah, and commercial chefs, I think what they love most about gas is they love being able to cook to the flame because you're a the way that I can explain it for me would be to say when I'm editing audio, right?
Mhm.
I'm not always listening to it. I'm just looking at it. I'm looking at a waveform. And what I'm looking at when I'm looking at a waveform is I can see when there's a peak, I can see when there's silence, I can see when there's a valley. I know what certain words look like in waveform just because I've been doing it so long.
Right,
And
right.
for me, that's how I edit. I would imagine that I'm not a professional chef, but I would imagine that that's how it is for professional chefs. They can look at a flame, they can look at the steam or the smoke, they can look at how the food is boiling or bubbling and understand where the flavor profile is going to take them based on the temperature, right?
That's right. So
For
it's
me
very
is
different for us.
right?
Yeah, yes. And I think, these are not necessarily for professional kitchens. They're for the home cook to make life easier, right? And this particular unit had artificial intelligence also built into it for recipes, telling you how to cook certain things. So like everything was right there at your fingertips. You didn't have to do anything. Now, a chef would never do that. They're interested in the art of cooking and they know what they're doing and they want to see the flame and they want to have whatever their barbecue set a certain way and they do everything differently than we do at home. But a lot of these appliances are geared towards helping people cook like a chef without having to have the experience of the chef.
Yeah, I get that. I clicked on something that caught my attention. It
Caught
was
my
the
attention too.
yeah, Ecodomo
Yeah.
leather hood. Tell me about this.
Yeah. So I was captivated by it because I'd never seen it before. So I thought it was kind of cool that they had when the picture comes up, it's like a faux croc hood with metal mixed into it. And it looked really, really cool. And it matched the color of the stove. So
Let me
it was
see if let me
really
see if there's
neat.
audio here.
Sure.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So this was pretty cool. So peacock crocodile leather
Mhm.
inset against brass,
Yep.
with matching color profile against the cabinetry and the range itself.
Yes. A
Here's
lot
what's
cooler.
interesting. Here's what's interesting too. It's interesting to me, and I want your take on this. When you see a display like this, and I get why they do it because they have to show all of the opportunity, all of the different styles, all of the different colors of metal, all the different metals variety, everything, right? But when you
Yes.
see something like this with all these different styles and all the mixed metals, and does that like rub you the wrong way, or do you
No.
like the way it looks together?
I like it. I think it's bold and it's a statement. If you're going to spend the amount of money that it costs to purchase a La Cornue, which this is, you want to make a statement. You're making a statement by buying that appliance. So you might as well bring it home. And I thought it was awesome. A lot of times these shows, we've talked about this, I feel like a lot of these shows are the runway in fashion, right? So it's not
Yeah.
necessarily the pret-a-porter or the ready to wear, but it's showing you the depth of the product and the range of the product in case you want to go there. But you might not. You might just leave and get the white La Cornue or the black La Cornue, and you just can see the versatility it offers. So this is their chance to show you all of that.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is I think that those clients that are purchasing Le Cornu, it's a very small subset of the population. Some have argued that it's not really chefs that are doing that. It's a very, very different clientele.
No, definitely. Yeah.
And
they're
many of these don't
gorgeous.
actually see much cooking.
I'm sure they're not, but it's gorgeous and it's such a statement piece in the kitchen. And then
Yeah.
to put that faux croc hood together that complements it with the brass and the stainless, I thought it was beautiful.
I love that you picked that out too. I really do, because I think that is so unique. And like you were saying, and one of the things that I think is so interesting, which you obviously picked up on this, and this is how you approach it, is that these shows are like an auto show or like a fashion show.
Totally.
you're not everything you see is going to be in every kitchen or most
Right.
kitchens or some kitchens or any kitchens, but
Right.
it gives you this inspiration,
Yes.
this opportunity to select something where you can show a client. And sometimes, do you feel like you're looking at something not necessarily to specify that, but to find something that is similar, albeit a bit different?
Right. That's right.
Yeah. So what are we looking at here?
So this is one of my favorite vendors. We love using them. They're so easy to work with. It's Artistic Tile. Their headquarters are in New Jersey. And this in particular is called the Westwind Lilac Water Jet. And it's interesting because it's got, I think, 3 or 4 different types of stone in there. One of them is a lilac marble. And I just loved how the geometrics fit together. And I loved all the different uses of marble. And I wanted to stop by. And I was actually running around Design House with a friend that I met, this woman, Lauren O'Connor, and she had never heard of them before. She was in California, but not, they have a shop in San Francisco, but she was pretty impressed with it. So we went there. She had never seen them, and it was really awesome.
That is very cool. So talk to me about product, material rather.
Sure.
So marble, porcelain, ceramic, I mean, sintered stone. You have more options now than I would say ever before. With so many options, sometimes clients get a little crazy because they hear about what's new now and next, and they desperately want to be able to talk about having all of this new product type. But each of these product types have certain unique characteristics.
Right.
How do you, as a designer, navigate that?
So, it depends, but I generally love the natural stone the best because I'm a discerning eye and I can pick out even the best, quartz or porcelain, and I don't like it. Because another product that was there at the show is Neolith, which is also very good with their veining. It looks very real. The stone is super thin and it gets put on wall applications and it has to be mitered, but it's very difficult to fabricate. So I think people are under the impression, and it's not correct, that there are stones that are impervious to all damage, and that is not true. Quartz chips, porcelain chips, all of it. So the truth of the matter is, I will say to somebody, if you're going to stare at your kitchen and look at it at a certain angle and a watermark on a marble piece is going to drive you batty, then you can't have that. And you should probably get something checked out, because who has time to stare at their kitchen countertop like that and look for the watermarks? But I say, Italy is a perfect example. All of those monuments have been outside for thousands of years. They're made out of marble, but you think your kids in your kitchen are going to ruin everything? It just depends on your comfort level. Sometimes a client will do like a tough skin application, because I am a more natural, I do like the regular stone the best. So if someone said to me, what are you picking? I'm always picking marble. And I'd say, if you're really, really worried, you can get it tough skinned. And what that does is it puts a coating on it to prevent staining. It needs to be maintained though. Marble is unfortunately, it's not living, but it kind of is. It requires maintenance for you to keep it a certain way. So I feel like most of my clientele go with the marble because they like it better too. And the truth is, at a certain price point of a home, you're not expecting quartz. You're just not, because it's not high end enough. So that's sort of where we land. Certainly for kids' bathrooms, no problem with using a white quartz top for their vanities and things like shower surrounds, no problem with that. But for like someone's kitchen or area where they're going to be spending a lot of time, we really do spend time talking about it, because most of the time when you go look at a marble yard and show someone what a real slab looks like, and then they see the porcelain version, even they can tell, and they're a little bit taken aback. And the other thing too, which has been affecting a lot of decision making as well, is that these stones, these fabricated stones, have become so much better that they're not inexpensive like they used to be, because like a neolith is beautiful and it takes a lot of skill to fabricate that, because if it's not put on level, the whole thing can crack and it's expensive. So everything on neolith needs to be mitered. Compact is also expensive. It's not the same price as marble going to a top end marble, but it's not like you feel like you're getting a deal. It still costs thousands of dollars. So that's the other factor too that people start considering. They're like, oh, I thought this was going to be a lot less. I'm like, no, really, it's not going to be that much less. So then we start having the real conversation.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is, did you find that years ago the manufactured, the man-made fabricated stuff would look very pixelated?
Yes, because it was.
Yeah.
And it just really looked fake. Now it's getting to look better. And you know what? They're smart. They understand that the consumer is looking to their product because of its versatility and ability to resist certain things that marble can't. And they're capitalizing on that. So things are not equal anymore. They're catching up and saying, we do a beautiful marble, but it's not going to be the same cost as silestone or whatever. It's going to cost you more money because it costs us more money and it looks better. So that's part of the problem too. And I think a lot of people chose the less expensive, more durable material. So now it's more durable, but not less expensive per se.
Yeah. Question for you.
Sure.
So one of the videos you sent me was of the tub that is self-filling with the overflow.
Yeah.
I don't remember was it Kohler?
I think it was Kohler. It was one of their displays. And I don't know if that's how I don't know if that's how it works like in real life. They had it set up like almost like a pool.
Yeah.
On their display.
So why did you send that? I'm just curious. What about that?
I thought it was cool looking. And I was like, imagine you had a big enough bathroom that you had a self-filling tub that just free stood in the middle of the bathroom. Because I was imagining that kind of situation.
So to you, is this one of those things at the show where it's like, oh, it's inspirational, it's aspirational, but I would never specify it? Or would you actually specify that on a project?
I think the former is probably right. I thought it was awesome to have at the show, and it was definitely eye-catching and cool to watch on display, but probably not practical.
Now, changing gears, you also, and I recognize them because I see them every year, the Smeg refrigerators.
Yes, so fun.
Do you feel the same way about those?
I feel like I couldn't not take pictures of those and send that to you. It would be, I think you might suspect that I didn't go to the show because they're iconic at the show and everyone shows them. I think that's probably not realistic either, only because of their price point and where they would be used. But maybe, you never know. There might be a situation where someone wants a bar and they think it's cool and they're happy to spend that kind of money on it, Yeah.
No, it's interesting. I feel the same way. And I was curious what the take was. Okay. So walk me through your top 5. I think we've covered 2 of them. What are the remaining 3?
We covered 3 of them. So we covered the SKS 48-inch dual fuel.
Oh, yeah.
The artistic tile Westwind Lilac water jet.
Yeah.
And the James Martin. So one of the ones that I loved was the Brava. So this was really impressive. And I left it to the 2 salesmen that I had interviewed. I said to them, tell me why this is your favorite product in all of KBIS. Because it was really impressive how they talked about its capabilities of cooking, how it cooks almost like an easy bake oven with light technology.
Huh.
And it is the size of a toaster oven with 3 levels. And it does all of this stuff within this one small unit. So I asked them, and I recorded it, to give us their rundown on why they liked it so much. And they did. You have it. I can look for it with you.
Hang on. Let me see. Let me get to that. I'm going to get to that. But I have a question for you while I do. Before I run this, okay, can you see it?
Yeah, it's image 1961. It's the image movie 1961. No, not this guy.
I went to the wrong one.
I'll go great too, though.
I'll go to that one. When you see something like this, do you envision specifying that as is, or is it just something else that you're going to have to put in a spot to find a place for?
No, I actually thought that it was really cool because it works like a toaster oven. So I thought you could have that plus so much more, because if you were having a like heat up something or cooking something, you could just use that instead of the big oven. So I was pretty impressed with its versatility and its size.
So even though this is something that is countertop, you would still specify it and put it in a kitchen.
Potentially, because you could also have it in a garage, meaning like behind an appliance garage, hidden on a shelf, so you wouldn't have it sitting on a countertop, just like a toaster oven. But I was pretty impressed with it, and certainly for, we do sometimes clients' kids' homes or apartments and things like that. This is like perfect for like a single person that is at home, and it's $1,200.
Okay,
Like great price point and like a really cool thing. Is it going to be my go-to in every project? No, but I was definitely impressed with their enthusiasm for the product. I have to tell you.
Listen, sometimes the enthusiasm is what sells it, right?
100%. These guys were both great.
let's hear what this sounds like.
And now I am here with Brava, and Travis is going to tell me why he likes this product so much.
So I think, like you heard from Zach before, who's with lights, I'm not going to go into that's what Brava is. Essentially, an easy bake oven that Tesla built it.
Wow.
Think of it like this: it's sort of microwave convenience and speed, but with the quality of it. So I think what really gives customers the best of it, that's in terms of speed. There are no microwaves, zero microwaves.
Good.
Everything that are in here are lamps.
Great.
Cooking with light.
Okay.
So I think some of my favorite things that I do here rice. I make peanut butter chicken. Toast all the time. My wife makes eggs. 6-minute crispy bacon is pretty big.
That is.
Because we can get bacon done in about half the time it would take to make.
That's true.
So for me, it's about speed and convenience and consistency. If you press that green button, you know it's going to be great.
All right. I love it. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right, I get it. You're, by the way, Kevin, you're hilarious. You're like, oh yeah, oh absolutely, oh yeah.
I was encouraging him.
Yeah, you are. Travis and Zach, who knew?
Yeah, they were great.
That's awesome. Okay, so we got 4. What's number 5?
Number 5 was the Adorn collection by Legrand. And that is, Legrand makes outlets and plugs, plug mold, and their like outlet cover collection, Adorn, I thought was really awesome. It offered such variety and so many different colors and metal finishes. It was really cool.
And hang on one second. I'm going to share this again. Here's what's really interesting about this, and I love that you selected this one, because this is one of those. I just feel like it's so commonly overlooked. This is one of those. It's one of those things that, and I'm looking at them now. Beautiful, a whole bunch of different, color options, material options, finishes. Yep. But with everything you get to see, why this?
Because this spoke to me, because I feel like this is in my wheelhouse, because I like these finishing touches that are overlooked sometimes. And I thought, wow, if you could pick different ones and match to everything, and they integrate with like a Lutron switch and you can use it, it's perfect. This is great. Something to have on my radar for a new house, new construction, things like that. So it spoke to me, because I feel like, to your point, in my opinion, as a designer, there's nothing worse than going into someone's home that they just had renovated by a new contractor. And I'm talking about homes that cost multi-millions of dollars, and you see a screw-on plate. I don't even understand that. Like, did you fall on the ground and smack your head? How did you have a screw-on plate here? Like, where are we in 1925? So like that always speaks to me, because I look around and I'm like, that person didn't have a designer, because there's no way that they would put that on. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I can tell. And so for me, that's a detail that after someone spent thousands of dollars wallpapering one of their rooms, you'd want to make sure that the plate switch that was on there, the switch plate, looked beautiful with the wallpaper and didn't take away from it. So I'm always looking for something better, or asking the painter, can they paint it? Or the wallpaper hanger, can they wrap it? Just something to take care of it, because it bothers me. As the designer, I see it all the time. So that drew my attention with that wall and the new collection, because I was like, this is a really cool product and we should be speccing this if it works for us, because they do everything.
I love that. Shifting gears a little bit. So talk to me about how you use a show like KBIS and Builder Show. How do you use that? So talk about the networking. You get to meet a lot of folks. There's a lot of folks to meet. How do you continue to work with them? How do you navigate those relationships?
Well, one of the ones that was interesting was SKS, because that is based, their headquarters are in New Jersey. And they were sponsor of the show for us as Design Hounds, which was cool. So it's on my calendar to reach out to them, because I want to come to see their showroom in New Jersey and see all of their product line. Because I have a project where the client's actually interested in having a steamer closet. And LG, the other brand that they have in the SKS line, does a steamer closet where you can refresh your clothes in your actual in your dressing room. So there's a couple of needs to go see that. It was very interesting. And he's close, so I'll reach out to him and meet him. And even though I wouldn't buy directly from them, I would buy through one of their wholesalers on Long Island. It would still be nice to have the contact with him directly and also see the stuff in his showroom, and go to New Jersey and see the headquarters.
Yeah. Was there anything that surprised you? How did the show meet your expectations?
I think the show this year, anyway, definitely was more built towards, I want to say, spec builders. There was a lot of vendors that in the new vendor section that you could only buy containers full of things from. So that's not going to work for me, because I'm a designer. So I'm not going to buy a container full of the same vanity or, faucet. But for spec builders, I felt like this was a great opportunity for them to make some really good connections and source some product to build their homes, because they offered building materials, they offered plumbing supply, electrical, things like that. So I found that to be interesting, but not necessarily high-end luxury design.
Got it. So for a show like this, and listen, I mean, KBIS, market in Vegas, or market in Atlanta, or market High Point, or Design Chicago, or Round Top, or I mean, you name it, with so many options of places that you can go, or even internationally, Salone, Maison. How often do you try to make it back to the same shows? Do you have a rotation?
Typically I'd only gone to High Point, and I had gone for a number of years every show. So I would say starting in 2014, when I first got my company, till COVID, I was probably at every show that they had. Then COVID came, and I might have stopped the year before COVID because I had like a family conflict, but COVID came and it shut down. Then it kind of opened, but everyone was like not 100% on board because they weren't really sure what was going on. And then this year, I'm not going to go, but my two senior designers are going to go, which will be great for them to have the freedom to see everything and not have me there. I'll be jealous while they're there. And last year I went to Maison, and I honestly, I feel like I would like to do more international shows. So I think Salone looks very cool to me, because we're in New York City and we see so many things in New York City that I feel like taking it out of the country might be inspirational for us, and being in a different country altogether. So I like that idea. But I've never gone to Dallas. I've never been to Vegas show, because I just wait for High Point, because I feel like that's the culmination of all of those in one spot.
I see. And how often do you go to market, to High Point?
So I would say we went a few years ago. Last year we went to Maison instead. I went with one of the senior designers. The year before that, we all went to market. And then the designers this year will go to market. So I would say once a year. I'm happy to have part of the team go. to check it out and be present and, check in with our vendors. But we have a lot of contacts in New York too. So it makes it, for us, it's very easy. Market is very geared towards people that don't have a lot of the showrooms that we have, but we're fortunate in Manhattan with all of the showrooms that we have.
Yeah. All right. 2 silly questions, but very important ones. So what kind of shoes did you wear?
Chanel sneakers.
How comfortable are they?
Very.
Did they hold up?
They held up great. I brought a couple of different pairs in different colors to look fashionable yet comfortable. Because I didn't want to wear like my typical running sneakers. So they matched my outfits, and I had basically Chanel sneakers that I wore around, a navy green and I think a red.
It's so funny because I have probably a dozen pairs of Adidas. I've got everything from old school clamshells to, I mean, you name to Sambas, you name it. I wear my New Balance to KBIS. I can't wear.
You can do that though. I can't.
No, it's true. No, it's true.
It'd be like, why is that girl wearing the New Balance, the orthopedic running shoes?
It's so true. It's so true.
So I tried to be fashionable because that's part of our part,
I did see a whole lot of Hokas. UFOs and Hokas.
People are definitely dressing, I will say this, much more comfortable. The first year I went to market, people were wearing high heels, and I'm thinking to myself, how are you going to make it? How are you going to make it? Also, everyone that I laugh at has their rolly bags. Like I took very minimal amount of product. I just took pictures, and I was like, I'll look it up online. I'm not going back to New York with a rolly full of paperwork.
No. The other question is, and KBIS does a really good job because it's in a convention center, but generally speaking, like a show like this, how do you handle your nutritional? And it's a silly question, but it's important because if you go and bonk, if you crash halfway through the show, it's really unpleasant.
True. And they didn't have, that was interesting. So at High Point, all the vendors have food. So they want to lure you in with like, that was not the case here. So I actually just packed like protein bars, because I didn't want to wait online to eat, bad food. One of the ones that we went to, we actually got a lunch. So we had like a boxed salad, which was totally fine. But I just usually carry bars with me, because the truth is I'm not generally, I'm not a lunch taker. Like I know there's people that have to have their 3 squares a day. That is definitely not me. I'm a on the run kind of person, and I'll eat when I'm done at the end of the day. So I'll grab something quick in the morning, then I have stuff on the go because I don't want to miss out. I'm only here for 3 days. I don't need to sit down and eat lunch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm a run through lunch kind of girl and pack snacks.
Fair enough. Final take. Overall impression, final take, anything you would have done differently for next time?
No, I loved it. And I thought it was like a great experience to go with the Design Hounds. We stayed in the Encore, so it was the closest to the convention center, which was awesome. They had buses that went every like 5 minutes to the convention center, which was great. Or you could take an Uber. No, I feel like I reviewed the materials before I got there. I had a handle on the things I wanted to see. I felt the overall experience was great. Is this something that I need to go to next year? Probably not. I don't need to go back to it. But like I said, I feel like going to different shows will broaden the design inspiration and also our knowledge.
Awesome. I love that. Kevi, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Design Hardware's newly remodeled showroom is where you will find a gallery-style space with a thoughtful display of products, purposefully positioned to allow unbridled exploration and discovery. High-end faucets, luxury tile, natural stone, wood floors, and bespoke hardware selections are presented in a holistic manner, strategically arranged to stimulate creativity and transition your vision from the conceptual stage to a fully realized space. Conveniently located, free parking available. Stop by to find your inspiration, collect samples, get expert advice, and tackle everything on your shopping list all in one place. Visit them online at designhardware.com or in the real world, 6053 West 3rd Street in Los Angeles.
Amazing, right? At the end of the day, there are certainly strategies you can use to maximize time and effort to see and learn about everything at these events. It's not just the things we see, new finds, materiality, touch, feel, size, but the people we meet, reconnect with, and with whom we engage. That is where the real value lies, to me anyway. Speaking of engagement, thank you for yours by listening, subscribing, and downloading the show. Thank you for your emails to convobydesign@outlook.com with guest and show suggestions, or again, just to debate the topic with me, or again, just to introduce yourself and say hi. Thank you for the follows, likes, and commentary on Instagram at Convo by Design with an X. Thank you to my amazing partner sponsors, Thermosol, Pacific Sales, Monogram, Design Hardware, and TimberTech. You guys are amazing. All of these amazing brands live to serve the design and architecture community. They make a specifier's life easier, and I appreciate that. Thanks again for listening. Until next week, be well, and take today first.